LoveLore Library. Chapter 477. Guo is so good to my stupid brother. She prepared such good food for him. Xianyuan Mia said sourly as he swept all the dishes on the table. Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. I knew that he wouldn't come. This table of dishes was for him in name, but in reality, didn't they all end up in Amia's stomach? I know. Xianyuan Mia put down his chopsticks and held her hand. If it wasn't for me, Guo wouldn't have put in so much effort to make it herself. He knew what was good for him. When Guo was good to him, it was really asking for his life. Tang Guo took out the small dog sachet from Xianyuan Mia's body. She lowered her eyes and said, Mia, let's start. The truth should surface. In the future, our relationship can be exposed openly. We can also tell the world that the person who has always been with me is you, Xianyuan Mia, and not him, Xianyuan Mo. The person who facilitated all of this is him, Xianyuan Mo. Tang Guo looked up and smiled faintly. She stared at Xianyuan Mia. Mia, don't make such a mistake like Xianyuan Mo. If you make such a mistake, you won't be forgiven by me. I won't make such a mistake, Guo. He hugged her. How could he be so stupid? Soon, he would become the most powerful adulterer in the world. Why was he a little excited? Tang Guo invited Xianyuan Mo for 2 consecutive months, but it was to no avail. Everyone in the palace thought that the imperial noble consort had fallen out of favor. But it was really strange that Xianyuan Mo would give half of the time to the imperial noble consort. Xianyuan Mo was a little anxious. Even though Eunuch Li didn't say that the imperial noble consort invited him, there were so many eyes and ears in the palace. He heard it. Sometimes, he wanted to go over during the day. That night, he came to the secret room. According to the day, he should go to the imperial noble consort's palace today. He couldn't go to the Empress's palace openly. Originally, he could go directly to the Empress's palace through the secret passage and not meet Xianyuan Mia. He waited for a while until Xianyuan Mia appeared. He had a complicated expression and said, Imperial brother, explain to the imperial noble consort tonight why you didn't go during the day. He felt that this was an unnecessary sentence. There was no need for him to say anything. His extremely intelligent brother would definitely handle this matter beautifully. I don't need second brother to remind me. I still have the ability to comfort my own woman. Xianyuan Mia strode past Xianyuan Mo, the sachet hanging from his waist swaying. Before Xianyuan Mo could retract his gaze, he suddenly called out to Xianyuan Mia, wait. Of course, Xianyuan Mia would stop as he wished. He turned around in confusion. Is there anything else, second brother? Xianyuan Mo stared at the sachet embroidered with a puppy. He was not looking at a puppy, but at the background of the puppy, which made him a little absent-minded. Brother, where did you get this sachet? He couldn't help but take the sachet. The background pattern was at least half the same as the one he secretly took back from Ningxiang's room. This pattern was very special, like the totem of a nation. He couldn't be wrong. Xianyuan Mia hit Xianyuan Mo's hand. Look if you want, don't touch it. Of course, this was given by my woman. If second brother wants it, go find your woman to make one. With that, he strode away. Xianyuan Mo couldn't stop him in time. Xianyuan Mo was absent-minded. He hurriedly went back to the palace to find the hidden sachet. He looked at it carefully. The totem was mostly similar, but some of the positions on the edges were different. He didn't know embroidery, but he had eyes. His brother's sachet was the most similar to this one. The one Ningxiang embroidered seemed to have only embroidered the surface, but in reality, she didn't find the foundation. When this thought came out, Xianyuan Mo's mind exploded. He quietly hid the sachet and went to Ningxiang's palace. Chapter 478. Ningxiang, Zhen's sachet is old, embroider one for Zhen, Xianyuan Mo said carelessly, taking out a drawing with a totem drawn on it. I found a totem in a book by chance, Zhen liked it, so I embroidered this. When Ningxiang saw that totem, she was stunned. This totem, where did Mo see it? Her heart was in a mess. Wasn't this the totem she picked up on the sachet when she was young? How did she embroider it? The embroidery on it was complicated, there were many colors, she could only see the surface. Seeing Ningxiang's reaction, Xianyuan Mo narrowed his eyes, picking up the old sachet. Ningxiang used to wear a sachet. Wasn't the pattern similar to this totem? It's similar, but the complexity and difficulty of the two are different, and Ningxiang still shook her head honestly. She didn't know Xianyuan Mo's motive. Xianyuan Mo had never mentioned falling into the water when he was young in front of Ningxiang. This totem is too complicated. Ningxiang doesn't know it. Zhen remembers that Ningxiang's mother was a very outstanding embroiderer. I wonder if she knows it. And Ningxiang shook her head. Mother doesn't know this embroidery method. Oh. Xianyuan Mo's heart sank. Then the embroidery method that Ningxiang knows, wasn't taught by your mother? Other than this, it was all taught by my mother, and Ningxiang found it strange. Mo, why are you interested in this today? The blood on Xianyuan Mo's face faded a lot. He hurriedly clenched his fist to maintain his composure, continuing to ask, then the one that Ningxiang knows, who taught her from? Naturally, and Ningxiang suddenly reacted. She learned it from the sachet the Imperial Gui Fei lost, then remembered that the first time Xianyuan Mo noticed her, he was actually looking at her sachet. The matter of helping him embroider the sachet was handed over to her. It seemed that he especially liked the sachet she made, and now Xianyuan Mo suddenly asked, could it be? His kindness to her, was it all because of that sachet? She was shocked. The sachet was the Gui Fei's. What relationship did Xianyuan Mo have with the Gui Fei when he was young? If it was really like this, after Xianyuan Mo knew the truth, what should she do? And Ningxiang clenched her handkerchief and looked down. She said calmly, of course I learned it from an embroiderer. I don't know where she went. Although Ningxiang had been in the palace all these years, she had been well protected by Xianyuan Mo. Xianyuan Mo wasn't as smart as Xianyuan Mia, but he was still an emperor who could sit firmly on the throne. When Ningxiang was stunned and nervous, how could he not tell? He knew Ningxiang's little tricks too well. She was lying. Ningxiang might not be the person he was looking for. Thinking of the sachet on his imperial brother's waist, his heart felt heavy. The truth should not be the same as what he was thinking. If that was really the case, he didn't dare to think about it. Just thinking about it made him feel as if his chest was about to explode. His entire body was ice cold, as if he was standing naked in a world of ice and snow. It was extremely uncomfortable. Then let's change the incense. Xianyuan Mo retracted his expression and did not do anything that would make Ningxiang suspicious. This emperor also saw it by chance. Ningxiang couldn't tell, but she didn't dare to let her guard down and only nodded in agreement. After a night, Xianyuan Mo found a secret guard and reinvestigated the Yin family, as well as the family Tang. It had been too long since he fell into the water when he was young. It would take a long time to get the results. Xianyuan Mo was anxious all day. His heart was beating wildly, as if it would only be satisfied if it jumped out. Chapter 479. Xianyuan Mo really couldn't hold himself back. After court, he threw aside his government affairs and rushed to the imperial noble consort's palace with anxious steps. When he reached the palace's entrance, he hesitated for a moment. Eunuch Li was actually a bit confused. Wasn't Her Majesty the Empress the one His Majesty doted on? Now, he was rushing here with a complicated expression. Could it be that there was a turning point with the imperial noble consort? He didn't understand. Logically speaking, the imperial noble consort already had an affair with that person, so His Majesty shouldn't have any thoughts. Xianyuan Imo hesitated for a moment but still walked in. He couldn't wait for the results of the investigation and wanted to come over to ask her. If the person who saved him in the river when he was young was really the imperial noble consort, what should he do? When he thought of this result, his entire body turned cold and his footsteps became heavier. When he walked into the palace, he happened to bump into that person who was like a delicate flower. She was wearing a luxurious palace robe and was leaning lazily on a rattan chair, flipping through an unknown book. Xianyuan Imo clenched his fists and walked over while controlling his heartbeat. He called out, "Is the imperial noble consort in a good mood today?" "His Majesty." Tangua slightly raised her head and smiled faintly, "It's pretty good. The weather is very good, so I came out to read and bask in the sun." Xianyuan Imo sat on a stone bench at the side, at a loss. He dryly said, "It's pretty good." Then he asked, "Does the imperial noble consort know embroidery?" Tangua lightly raised her brows and didn't answer. She only looked at Xianyuan Imo with a strange gaze. He was very uncomfortable. Just asking. Jin realized that Jin doesn't know much about the imperial noble consort. Speaking of this, Xianyuan Imo was a bit disappointed. It wasn't just little, he didn't understand her at all. He didn't know what she liked or her habits. He glanced at the exquisite incense burner with green smoke curling up from it. The color on his face faded and his hands in his sleeves were trembling. If he wasn't afraid of her suspicion, he wanted to take the incense burner away on the spot. The imperial noble consort likes this incense very much. Of course I do. Tangua put down the book and lowered her eyes with a faint smile. Isn't this bestowed by His Majesty? I didn't forget to light it every day. When she said this, Xianyuan Imo felt like he was being pressed down by a huge rock. Come to think of it, the imperial noble consort had been lighting this incense for many years. That incense was overbearing. Lighting it for a month could cause a woman to be infertile. His lips and teeth trembled as he controlled his trembling voice. This incense is already outdated. Zhen will have someone send another one to Imperial Gue Fei another day. I've lit it for so many years, I'm used to it. Just light it. The woman didn't lift her lowered eyes, her voice low. In the entire Hogong, this incense is the only one I have. I like it. Emperor should know that I like to monopolize everything. She looked up, her clear eyes seemingly wanting to look into his heart. The only thing I can't do is that I can't monopolize His Majesty. Xianyuan Imo felt like he couldn't breathe. He opened his mouth but couldn't tell her that they had never been together. He didn't want to say that if she was her, what should he do? Xianyuan Imo already didn't have the courage to ask if the person from his childhood was her. His fingers flexed and clenched tightly. Jin still has some government affairs to take care of, so Jin won't accompany imperial noble consort. Jin will send new incense this afternoon. Only imperial noble consort has it. It's a tribute that just came up. Xianyuan Mo's voice was choked. Jin won't give it to anyone else. He suddenly remembered that the imperial noble consort's knee hurt. He also remembered that she had once said that she fell into the water when she was young. He still remembered that it was a cold winter day and it was snowing lightly. He knew very well how cold the water in the river was. He felt his eyes swell and hurriedly stood. He didn't want her to discover his abnormality and fled the palace. Let's withdraw. Tangua pointed at the slowly rising smoke and gave a low laugh. That laugh was a bit cold. The people in the palace really know how to fill in the blanks. Chapter 480. Tangua leaned against the cushion and read a book. Suddenly, a figure flashed into the hall. She felt a familiar aura, but she didn't even lift her eyelids. She was already used to Xianyuan Mia coming into her palace in broad daylight. This time, he pulled her into his arms and buried his head in her neck. He even took a bite and said in a hoarse voice, I'm so jealous. So you were the one who saved second brother when he fell into the water. So fell into the water because of Xianyuan Mo. For the rest of her life, her knees would be uncomfortable in rainy weather. Not only was he jealous, but he also felt heartache. He fiddled with the little dog Sachet. I found out that he only remembered this special totem. When he saw a Ningxiang for the first time in the harem, he thought that a Ningxiang was that person. Second brother is actually a shrewd and careful person. He didn't plan to reveal this to a Ningxiang. He wanted to protect a Ningxiang and preserve her purity. He didn't want to give her the impression that he only doted on her because she saved his life. As for what happened when he was young, he would probably keep it for a long time before mentioning it to a Ningxiang. Xianyuan Miao let go of Tang Gua and kissed Tang Gua's forehead. Ironically, because he was careful, he missed the person he was supposed to be with. I'm really jealous, but I also feel lucky, but I also feel terrible. He wrapped his arms around her waist. He was so careful and gentle, afraid that he would hurt her. I'm jealous that he met Guo first. He's lucky that he missed Guo. My heart aches for Guo because of him, and Guo is hurt by him. If it wasn't for the strong feeling of love at first sight, he might have become an accomplice. For a moment, the hall was terrifyingly quiet. Guo, let me help you massage your knees. The rainy weather is coming again. Xianyuan Mia squatted down and placed his palms on her knees. He raised his head and smiled devilishly at her. His deep eyes were filled with love, and there was no need for words to express it. Tang Guo looked straight into his eyes and smiled. I only like Mia. I won't like him. Her slender hands caressed his cheeks. Mia should think about how to face the various Azura battlefields. After Xianyuan Mo knew the truth, he would definitely come here. Once our relationship is exposed, you'll be pointed at every day. Guo, you're underestimating me. I've never cared about what others think of me. He got up and wrapped his arms around her waist. I only care about you. I know. With me around, no one will dare to laugh at Mia. Xianyuan Mia shook his head and laughed. When Guo treated him well, he really wanted to dig out his heart and feed it to her. This little girl actually said that she would protect him. However, this feeling was not bad at all. He really liked Guo. She liked him to the core. Your Majesty. The sudden appearance of the shadow guard made Xianyuan Mo very nervous. He stared blankly for a moment before speaking. Did you find out? Got it. Give it to me. Xianyuan Mo flipped through the information he found, page by page. His fingers were clenched so tightly that they turned white. When he flipped to the last page, his eyes were red. He gripped the last page tightly and felt that his breathing was not smooth. Are you sure there's no mistake? When he spoke, his lips and teeth were chattering. Yes. Xianyuan Mo stared at the dragon desk in a daze. After a long while, he waved his hand. All of you, leave. When he was the only one in the imperial study, he lost all his strength and leaned weakly against the dragon chair. A teardrop slid down from his red eyes and landed on the page, blurring the words on it. It's really her. Xianyuan Mo covered his face in pain. His body trembled, as if his internal organs were being torn apart. He suddenly let go of his hand. His face was drained of blood and his eyes had lost their light. All that was left was confusion and helplessness. Chapter 481. Send them all to the Imperial Gui Fei. Last time, she said she liked gold and silver. Take all the gold and silver in Jin's treasury. She has to change her palace attire 3 times a day. Give her all the silk and satin as tribute. And those decorations, Shin heard that she likes to change them every day. Take them all. Eunuch Li was stunned. Looking at Xianyuan Mo, who had changed greatly, he didn't know what to do. Thinking of the news he had just received, he still carefully opened. Emperor, Her Highness the Empress invites you over for lunch. Xianyuan Mo's face suddenly turned cold. His icy gaze made Eunuch Li understand that he had said the wrong thing. He hurriedly knelt down. This servant will send all the rewards to the Imperial Gui Fei right now. Feeling Xianyuan Mo's icy gaze withdraw, Eunuch Li hurriedly wiped the sweat on his face and complained in his heart. It really wasn't easy to guess the Son of Heaven's heart. Yesterday, he had been so strict with Her Highness the Empress. Today, he wanted to empty his little treasury to support the Imperial Gui Fei. If it wasn't for the fact that he was wearing several layers, the cold sweat on his back would have soaked his clothes. The matter of Xianyuan Mo wantonly rewarding the Imperial Gui Fei couldn't be hidden. In just a quarter of an hour, the entire inner palace knew. The emperor had almost emptied his own little treasury. This time, all the precious items that had been offered as tribute had been moved to the Imperial Gui Fei's palace. The people in the palace, no matter if they were old or new, all expressed confusion and even surprise at Xianyuan Mo's actions. Wasn't the person that Xianyuan Mo truly doted on Her Highness the Empress? Then, what was going on today? Nyang Nyang, the palace's storehouse is almost full. Meilong wasn't surprised at all by Xianyuan Mo's sudden rewards. Should we move to the side hall? Move over. Tanggua said without turning her head as she skillfully played mahjong. Seeing the shocked expressions of Meng De Fei and the others, she smiled and said, "Wait a moment, bring it up and let Meng De Fei and the others choose." Imperial Gui Fei, there's no need. Meng De Fei hurriedly shook her head. She was just very shocked. What was with the emperor today? It couldn't be a conspiracy, right? The other palace concubines also thought the same. Even the concubines that had been reading in the side hall came over. They all looked like they were facing a great enemy. It really was hilarious. They were all thinking, could it be that the emperor was serious this time and wanted to get rid of the Imperial Gui Fei for the empress? They were all very anxious. They were just small imperial concubines. If the emperor wanted to deal with an imperial concubine, they really couldn't do anything. Yin Shufei, continue. What's wrong with you all? Tanggua shook her head and laughed. It's just some rewards. You'll get used to it. It won't be a big deal. If you don't take it seriously, leave your undergarments behind this time and get out of my palace. As soon as she said that, everyone quickly stopped thinking about it. How embarrassing would it be to lose a belly band? Moreover, other than He Xiaoyuan, none of them had brought extra belly bands. For the next few days, Xianyuan Mo sent all kinds of rewards to the imperial noble consort's palace. At first, everyone thought that it was a conspiracy. They thought that he finally couldn't hold back and was going to make a move on the imperial noble consort. Who would have thought that he would pick out items every day and have them delivered to the imperial noble consort's palace, which forced people to reevaluate the imperial noble consort status. The most impatient person was naturally Ningxiang. She had already guessed why. Xianyuan Mo already knew that the imperial noble consort was the person he was looking for. She didn't know what happened between the two, but it was definitely not good for her. Mo, what's wrong with you these days? And Ningxiang couldn't bear it anymore. She personally came to the imperial study to stop Xianyuan Mo. She tried to squeeze out a smile. Mo, you. After opening her mouth, she didn't know how to ask. Chapter 482. Imperial noble consort won't have children in this lifetime. This is Shin's fault. It's also Jin's fault for not recognizing her earlier. It's still Jin's fault for mistaking you for her. Empress, regarding the fact that you lied that day, Jin won't hold it against you because you're pregnant. From now on, just be a good empress. And Ningxiang's face paled as she retreated. Ah, Mo, what do you mean by this? Didn't you say that you like me and only treat me well? Wasn't my position as empress carefully planned by you? How can you be like this? How can you be like this? And Ningxiang finally couldn't hold back her tears. You said that I'll be the only one in this life and you won't be moved by anyone else. Ah, Mo, are you going back on your words and abandoning me? Without you, what's the point of me being empress? I might as well be that little noble lady. And Xianyuan Mo stepped forward to support An Ningxiang, who was on the verge of collapsing, and patted her shoulder. It was Zhen who mistook you for her. This isn't your fault. You didn't know either. Just be a good empress. Zhen won't treat you unfairly. If you give birth to a prince, he'll be Zhen's crown prince. No. And Ningxiang pushed Xianyuan Mo away. With tears on her cheeks, she stubbornly said, I don't want my son to be some crown prince. Ah, Mo, I want you. I want you. Don't you understand? I value you the most. What did I do wrong? Just because you mistook me for her, you gave me all the love. It was you who pulled me into the sweet abyss. Now that you finally know the truth, you want to push me away so easily. Ah, Mo, you're really heartless. Empress, you should calm down. Chuanxue, take good care of the Empress. She's very heavy. Don't leave the palace during this time. The disguised house arrest caused everyone's faces to turn pale. Eunuch Li, who was following at the side, carefully wiped his cold sweat. He seemed to have learned an incredible secret. Xianyuan Mo. And Ningxiang shouted. Even if you know everything and want to redeem it, can you really do it? The person you hurt has been hurt long ago. She'll know what you did sooner or later. Xianyuan Mo's gaze suddenly turned cold as he glared at An Ningxiang, causing her to shiver and involuntarily retreat. I won't let her know. I will never let her know. You'd better be tactful. I don't care about the small and family. And Ningxiang really couldn't stand properly this time. Fortunately, Chuanxue was there to support her, so she didn't fall directly to the ground. She could only stare blankly at Xianyuan Mo's departing figure and suddenly burst into tears. Chuanxue, he is so cruel. And Ningxiang began to sob. Just because he doesn't like me doesn't mean he can hurt me at will. In the past, I was proud that he liked me and pitied the imperial noble consort for her misfortune. Now, this pitiful person has become this consort. What is this called? It's called the cycle of karma, and no one can escape it. Mother is right. Emperors are heartless and heartless. But if I spoil you to the extreme, I can also push you into the abyss. But this consort is really unwilling. I gave my heart to him, but in the end, because he didn't find her, I mercilessly abandoned her. What is this? Chuanxue also wiped her tears. Your Highness, you've been wronged. She was just a small palace maid, what could she do? There were rumors in the harem that the imperial noble consort had regained favor and the empress had fallen out of favor. Chapter 483. Every day, Xianyuan Mo would bestow all sorts of items into the imperial noble consort's palace, confirming the fact that the imperial noble consort had regained her favor. On the other side, the news of the empress being placed under house arrest quickly spread. He seemed to have put everything on the line and didn't care about what others said. Every day, he would receive memorials to impeach the imperial noble consort. He would throw them into the brazier and burn them. Gradually, there were rumors outside that the imperial noble consort was a demoness who would bring disaster to the country. If she was not executed, it would bring disaster to the Tianqin kingdom. With this huge accusation, countless courtiers knelt outside the hall, requesting that the imperial noble consort be punished. Of course, the courtiers who knelt down to punish the imperial noble consort belonged to the royalist faction, as well as the in-family faction. On the other hand, none of the families of the imperial concubines who were close to Tang Guo requested that the imperial noble consort be punished. Xianyuan Mo looked at the courtiers who were kneeling on the ground and looked rather impatient. He waved his sleeves. If you like to kneel, then kneel. If you like to disobey my wishes, I can take this opportunity to change a batch of useful people. With that, he flicked his sleeves and left. The courtiers who were kneeling on the ground looked at each other and had no choice but to stand up. This move was useless. It wouldn't work. Helpless, everyone could only go down and think of other ways. Imperial noble consort, don't worry. Those people can't do anything to me. I will protect you. After dismissing the courtiers, Xianyuan Mo couldn't wait to come to Tang Guo's place and express his loyalty to her. It was truly comical. He understood that when he appeared, Xianyuan Mia wouldn't dare to appear. Once the two of them appeared at the same time, she would definitely be hurt. In fact, he was also afraid that the truth would be exposed, but he couldn't help but come to see her. He wanted to salvage all of this. The past was the past. They could start again. In the future, he wouldn't like anyone. He wouldn't pamper anyone. He would only like her, pamper her, and protect her. He had completely forgotten that some things could not be stopped once they started. Some hurtful things, once done, were done. No matter what he did, it would be useless. Nothing could go back to the past. Unexpectedly, Tang Guo no longer showed him that pure and trusting smile like before. She also no longer smiled brightly and said to him, Mo, I naturally believe you. I believe you will protect me. She only raised her head slightly and smiled faintly. Thank you, Your Majesty. Xianyuan Mo was stunned, and then he quickly suppressed the uneasiness in his heart. It was probably because of a Ningxiang that the imperial noble consort had a grudge against him. She had said that she always liked to monopolize him. Yes, she must be angry. We will come to see you again at night. When Xianyuan Mo realized that the person who had come tonight was not him, he turned around and smiled bitterly. Was it too late for him to fight with his brother now? He was the emperor on the surface, while his brother was the hermit emperor in the shadows. In truth, he wasn't a match for him at all. Even the position of emperor was only because imperial brother was not interested in it. Imperial father actually valued imperial brother more and admired him more. However, imperial brother's personality was lively and unrestrained. He was unwilling to be the emperor. Once imperial brother decided on something, it would be impossible for him to snatch it away from the other party. But this time, he wanted to give it a try. In your dreams. At night, Xianyuan Mia hugged the person in his arms and whispered in her ear, he's just dreaming. He even dares to snatch Guo from me. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm afraid that there's no one to manage the Tianqin kingdom, I really want to chop off his dog leg. He's running here all day. In the afternoon, he found him and said that he wanted to compete fairly with him. Screw the fair competition. Guo had always been his alone. Chapter 484. Xianyuan Mo planned it well, thinking that he could use the rest of his life to make it up to his beloved. However, what he did in the past was not kind and not secretive. This person was so unlucky that even water got stuck in his teeth. On this day, after court, he was preparing to pick something good to send to the imperial noble consort today. He saw a eunuch running over anxiously. What's wrong? Your Majesty, things are not good. The Empress and Lan Zhaoyi went to the imperial noble consort's palace together. Eunuch Li finally understood how much the emperor cared about the imperial noble consort. He didn't dare to be careless when he got the news. Xianyuan Mo's face paled. He quickly remembered that Ningxiang also knew a secret. He couldn't care about anything else and quickly rushed in the direction of the imperial noble consort's palace. Eunuch Li only saw a flash in front of his eyes and he disappeared. He quickly ran after him. Why is the Empress free today? Ningxiang was supported by Chuanxue and stood in the hall. She stared straight at Tang Guo. She suddenly realized that after so many years, the imperial noble consort's face became more and more beautiful. Time seemed to have treated her well and didn't leave any traces. The way she lifted her eyes and looked at him was enough to make him lose his soul with a single glance. Putting everything else aside, no one could compare to the imperial noble consort's appearance. Today, she only came for one thing, to destroy Xianyuan Mo's hope. Xianyuan Mo was too ruthless and didn't give her any hope. She couldn't care about anything else. Xianyuan Mo thought that using the Yin family could comfort her. Actually, it wasn't. She wasn't the legitimate daughter of the Yin family. Her mother wasn't formally taken in by her father. She was snatched back. If she hadn't become the Empress and been chosen by Xianyuan Mo, the Yin family wouldn't have remembered her at all. Some time ago, she received a letter that her mother had already become a monk. Taking advantage of her stable position as the Empress, she decisively broke away from the Yin family and became a monk. It was Xianyuan Mo's love that made her forget her mother's advice. But she just couldn't accept it. She was pregnant with the dragon child. According to Xianyuan Mo's temperament, this might be his only son. Unless she killed the imperial noble consort, Xianyuan Mo wouldn't kill her. She suddenly felt that it was funny. The new life she had looked forward to was actually used by her like this. Today, she came to expose this illusion. Xianyuan Mo let her down, she wouldn't let Xianyuan Mo get his way. Why should she, Ningxiang, bear all the consequences? She had only accepted his love and given her heart, but in the end, she had received such a result. This consort came today to have a good chat with the imperial noble consort. Tang Guo didn't get up and sip the tea. What do you want to talk about? Ningxiang didn't care anymore. She casually found a seat and sat down. I want to talk about a lot. Anything. She glanced at the various decorations in the room and her heart ached. Xianyuan Mo really doted on the imperial Gui Fei. She took a deep breath and squeezed out a smile. I have to congratulate Imperial Gui Fei for regaining favor. Of course not. And Ningxiang followed up and suddenly leaned closer, her gaze sweeping over the exquisite incense burner. There wasn't any incense today. She knew that Imperial Gui Fei liked to light it in the afternoon, so she purposely picked a time close to noon. This incense, Imperial Gui Fei still lights it. At first, she didn't know that there was a problem with the incense. Later, she found out from Lan Zhaoyi. It was interesting to ask why Zhaoyi Lan helped her. Zhaoyi Lan was Xianyuan Mo's confidant, but she loved Xianyuan Mo deeply. Naturally, she wouldn't let the imperial noble consort take advantage of her. Zhaoyi Lan knew the person who looked for the incense. Chapter 485. It's still lit. Every afternoon, I take a nap and never miss a day. Seeing Tang Guo answer with a smile, Ningxiang thought that the other party was showing off Xianyuan Mo's kindness to her. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. It's so funny, Xianyuan Mo is so funny, and so cruel. Empress, what are you laughing at? Ningxiang laughed for a while before stopping. Looking at Tangua's puzzled face, she said, I'm laughing at you for being kept in the dark and not knowing. I'm laughing at you for mistakenly giving your heart to some people. I'm laughing, Empress. Xianyuan Mo finally arrived. When he barged in, he saw Ningxiang saying something. He immediately shouted, Didn't I forbid you to leave the palace? Why aren't you going back to your palace? Bring the Empress back. Xianyuan Mo waved his hand. Eunuch Li, who ran up from behind, quickly brought 2 eunuchs to Ningxiang. Empress, please. Okay, I'll go. Ningxiang didn't seem to intend to resist. She stared at Xianyuan Mo and saw that the other party had already arrived in front of Tangua. She was so familiar with the way he asked about her well-being. She wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and went out with Eunuch Li. Just at the moment when Xianyuan Mo relaxed. Ningxiang is poisonous. If it's used for a long time, it will cause a woman to be infertile in less than a month. Ningxiang opened her mouth and said. Xianyuan Mo didn't have time to stop her. He only shouted, Imperial noble consort, don't believe her. She's talking nonsense. She just can't bear to see me treat you well. Ningxiang laughed. Xianyuan Mo stared at her coldly and said in a deep voice, Why aren't you inviting the Empress back to the palace? Eunuch Li didn't dare to be careless. He gave the 2 eunuchs a look. The 2 grabbed Ningxiang's arm and forcefully brought her out. Ningxiang's face revealed a sad smile. She laughed out loud and shouted, Imperial noble consort, do you know that there's more than one person who comes to your palace during the day and sleeps with you at night? She finally said this sentence. In an instant, everyone who didn't know the truth was shocked and looked at Ningxiang in shock. Is the Empress possessed? Take her away, quickly take her away. The Empress has gone crazy. Lock her up. How dare she frame the Imperial noble consort? She's so jealous that she's not fit to be the Empress. Zhen has decided. Your Majesty, why are you so heartless to me? Ningxiang turned around. Her face was already covered in tears. I'm not the person you found. You don't like me. You can be cruel to me at will. You can hurt my heart at will. You can ignore my feelings. You can say that I framed the Imperial noble concubine in front of everyone. But don't you know that you didn't find that person to sleep with the Imperial noble concubine last night? You said that it was for me. You said that you liked me. You said that you didn't like the Imperial noble concubine. You were the one who said all of this. Xianyuan Mo was infuriated beyond recognition. He hurriedly looked at Tangua's expression, but there didn't seem to be any abnormality. He slightly breathed a sigh of relief. Imperial noble consort, don't listen to her nonsense. Zhen is not what she says. We must have been blind to have made her Empress. Take him away. Tangua finally said, Wait. Imperial noble consort. Xianyuan Mo's back was drenched in sweat. He wasn't sure if what he said today would have any impact on their relationship. He planned to keep this secret forever. Tangua ignored Xianyuan Mo and came in front of Ningxiang. Ningxiang also stopped crying. The 2 just looked at each other like this. Just when Ningxiang thought that the Imperial noble concubine didn't believe her and might even give her a slap. The peerless beauty in front of her suddenly smiled. Chapter 486. She said in a low voice, How can I not know that there's something wrong with the peacefulness incense? He gave it to me that day, so I lit it. I got used to it and got addicted. I couldn't kick it no matter what. Ningxiang went from indifference to shock. She looked at Tangua in disbelief. The Imperial noble consort knew from the beginning. She even lit it willingly. Ningxiang felt a chill run down her spine. Why did she pretend not to know when she knew? As for what you said, the person in the day and at night are not the same person. Tang Guo looked at Ningxiang with a smile, then turned back to look at Xianyuan Mo with ridicule in her eyes. Do you really think that there are two people who are exactly the same, whether it's appearance, behavior, personality, or small actions? Xianyuan Mo's heart sank. Xianyuan Mo's heart sank and he subconsciously took a step back. He opened his mouth and wanted to say, no, it's not like that. It's really not like that. Listen to my explanation. We can actually start over. This time, he would definitely be serious and would definitely not hurt her at all. He would carefully take care of her and fulfill what he had said before. Love her, pamper her, protect her, and listen to her. But this time, he finally noticed that the love in the imperial noble consort's eyes had disappeared without him knowing. There was nothing left. This discovery made him panic and helpless. He wanted to dig a hole in the ground and escape from here. From the first night, I knew that the two of you were not the same person. When Tang Guo calmly said these words, Xianyuan Mo's brain suddenly exploded, and he no longer had the slightest bit of luck. She knew it from the beginning. Now that she thought about it carefully, she asked more than once, Mo, have you ever truly liked me? She didn't know how many times she asked this question, but he didn't count. But his answer every time was, of course. He dismissed her with two simple words. When she lowered her head and smiled, and said, I know. What was she thinking in her heart? Was she thinking that he was lying to her, and she must feel terrible? When he wanted to be crowned empress, she said those words. She said that she wasn't afraid of being spurned by others. As long as he didn't want to be crowned empress, she was willing to stand up. No matter how many people cursed at her, she wasn't afraid. At that time, could it be that she had given him the last chance? He still remembered that it had been a long time since she called him Mo and only called him emperor. The more he thought about it, the paler Xianyuan Mo's face became. He took a few steps back and shouted, Imperial noble consort, no, Guo, He had wanted to call her that for a long time. The woman smiled and shook her head. Since everything is out in the open, I also have something to announce to you. Intuition told Ningxiang and Xianyuan Mo that the announcement was definitely not a good thing. Xianyuan Mo, the person you gave to me. Tang Guo's indifferent smile became brash and wanton. Coupled with her exquisite and beautiful face, she looked like an enchantress. This consort is very satisfied with Xianyuan Mia. What I want to announce today is that he will be this consort's person from now on. And Ningxiang's eyes widened. This was completely different from what she had imagined. Why did the Imperial Gui Fei, who had a desolate look on her face just now, suddenly change her expression and look happy? Was it a dream, or was it an illusion? Shen, Tang Guo's gaze calmly swept across Xianyuan Mo's face and fixed behind him. Yeah, why aren't you showing yourself since you're here? Could it be that you're really going to let me go? Chapter 487. Of course not. Xianyuan Mia's voice rang out as he walked out from the back. His face, which was exactly the same as Xianyuan Mo's, shocked everyone present. He revealed an attentive smile and quickly arrived in front of Tang Guo. He gently held her hand and kissed the back of it. Then, he wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her into his embrace. Empress, this consort has no interest in fighting for favor with you. Tang Guo placed her hand on Xianyuan Mia's handsome face. This consort has always liked to monopolize. This man belongs to this consort, both physically and mentally. This consort is very satisfied and does not intend to change him in this lifetime. Guo, I don't mind. We can start over. Xianyuan Mo didn't know what to say. He had worked so hard for so long just to hide this secret. However, what she said just now had undoubtedly shattered his beautiful dream. Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. You said you don't mind. Between what? Between the fact that I once had a man and made love with this man every day. You don't mind that I was touched by this man. Xianyuan Mo was dumbfounded. You shouldn't have forgotten that this man personally sent himself to my bed. I was just doing as you thought, cooperating with you and doing as you wished. How did it become my fault? No, it's not me. Tang Guo shook her head and leaned into Xianyuan's embrace. You really don't know how to speak. No wonder you don't make people happy. Yeah, tell him how to coax his ex-girlfriend. Guo, it's all my fault. Everything is my fault. It's up to you how you want to punish me. I was blinded by lard and didn't know Guo's heart. Everything is my fault. You are the stars in the sky, pure and brilliant. You captivated my eyes and captured my heart. Xianyuan hugged the person in his arms and quickly expressed himself. From today onwards, he could be considered honorable. Tang Guo was amused by his words. Well said. You have to have the attitude to admit your mistake. When coaxing someone, you have to know how to put down your attitude. It's clearly your fault, Xianyuan Mo, but you still want to slander this consort. Do you think this consort would be willing to abandon the perfect Mia and choose someone like you? Xianyuan Mo clenched his fists and looked at the woman in front of him who was amused by his royal brother. That smile should have belonged to him. And Ningxiang was no longer sad. She was shocked by everything in front of her. The imperial noble consort's actions had caught her off guard. She had always thought that the imperial noble consort cared a lot about Xianyuan Mo and wanted to snatch Xianyuan Mo away. Only now did she realize that the imperial noble consort didn't care at all. The man who made her laugh was the one she liked. Perhaps the other party had liked Xianyuan Mo before, but that was only in the past. The imperial noble consort was much smarter than her. Guo, are you really not willing to give me a chance? No matter what, you are still my imperial noble consort. Aren't you afraid of going public like this? That's why you can't compare to Mia. At this point, you want me to forgive you. You slandered me in the beginning, and now you're threatening me. Tell me, which woman would like someone like you? Yes, I'm your imperial noble consort. You finally remembered today that you like to be cuckolded. I'll satisfy you. I'll satisfy you for the rest of my life. I really want this title of imperial noble consort. You want me to be unable to get pregnant. Actually, it's not that troublesome. With my broken body, there's no possibility of getting pregnant. Since you like it, I'll satisfy you. Haven't I asked you many times? Have you ever liked me? Have you ever treated me sincerely? Have I given you many chances? And you, not only have you always lied to me, you even tried to frame my father for treason for a Ningxiang. In an instant, Xianyuan Mo's mind exploded. It's over. Chapter 488. The big show ended with Xianyuan Mo leaving in a sorry state. He was in a dispirited mood at this time and had forgotten to settle accounts with a Ningxiang. And Ningxiang was also in a daze as Chuanxue helped her back to the palace. What she heard today was really too unbelievable. The person Xianyuan Mo found for the imperial noble consort was actually his twin brother. At that time, she vaguely heard Xianyuan Mo call that person imperial brother. Don't spread what happened today. And Ningxiang warned Chuanxue. Once this secret was spread, what awaited her was death. Now her mind was in a mess and she didn't know what to do. She originally wanted to destroy Xianyuan Mo's hope, but she didn't expect so many things to happen that she couldn't clean up. Chuanxue was also very scared. She knew that the imperial noble consort was arrogant, but she never knew that the other party was so arrogant that she was not afraid of anything. In front of the emperor, she dared to say that she was going to make him a cuckold. Chuanxue suddenly felt that she was really lucky to come back alive from the imperial noble consort's place last time. Chuanxue nodded, turned around, and went out to warn the others. After a while, she hurried back. Ningxiang's heart sank. What's wrong? Nyang Nyang, I'm afraid that we can't hide it anymore. The imperial noble consort took that person for a walk in the imperial garden openly, completely ignoring the eyes of others. Ningxiang stood up and said in disbelief, "Is she crazy?" Everyone watched the emperor return to his bedchamber. Now that she took that person to the imperial garden, wouldn't it be evidence for others to catch? She doesn't want to live anymore. Ningxiang didn't understand how there could be such an arrogant and wanton person in the harem. She was not afraid of anything and didn't care about anything. She only wanted a moment of pleasure. Consort Mingde and Consort Yin Shufei also heard the news. It was said that the imperial noble consort and a man who looked exactly like the emperor snuggled up to each other and strolled in the imperial garden. She couldn't walk, so the man had to carry her. When she took a fancy to a beautiful flower, the man put her aside and walked into the flowers to pick flowers for her. Everyone thought that the imperial noble consort was crazy. Those who were timid didn't dare to come and take a look for fear of being silenced. Meng Defei, Yin Shufei, and the others had come. From afar, they could see the imperial noble consort being carried by that man. That man was using Qinggong to step on the surface of the water, carrying her as he ran. She was wrapped around his neck, smiling with her eyes curved. From time to time, she would whisper a few words in his ear. It was unknown what she was saying, but that man also smiled happily. There was a hint of evil at the corner of his mouth, which was very different from Xianyuan Mo. This scene caused everyone to freeze in place. Imperial Gue Fei is smiling so happily. He Xiaoyuan commented, "I've never seen her smile so happily before. This is the real her." Sister Consort De, what do you think of this matter? Yin Shufei was a little worried. Has this Imperial Gue Fei really gone crazy? Otherwise, how could she dare to have an affair with another man in this back garden? Consort Mengde shook her head. I don't know, but I don't think the Imperial Gue Fei is that simple. Let's wait and see. Ah Mia, bring me up. Tanggua had already noticed the people over there. Lying on Xianyuan Mia's back, she hugged his neck and whispered in his ear. Xianyuan Mia tapped his feet and quickly leaped into the pavilion, carefully putting her down. Consort Mengde and the others all saw this scene. They looked at each other and finally walked into the pavilion. At first, no one spoke. It was Yin Shufei who couldn't help but ask, "Sister Imperial Gue Fei, you are?" Chapter 489. Coming out to play with Amia. Tanggua smiled slightly and introduced him to them. He's called Xianyuan Mia, Xianyuan Mo's older brother. He was also the gift that Xianyuan Mo gave Ben Gong on the day he wanted to serve Ben Gong. Ben Gong was very satisfied and kept him by my side. When the words fell, the faces of the imperial concubines present all paled. The information in this sentence was too much. Let them digest it. This man was personally given to Imperial Gue Fei by His Majesty. This sentence exploded in the minds of the imperial concubines. What did this mean? They widened their eyes, wanting to get more information from Tanggua. If it really was as they thought, they really didn't know what to say. The Imperial Gue Fei was really too pitiful. That's enough, don't look so pitiful. This queen is doing very well. I already said that I'm very satisfied with Amia. Tanggua chuckled softly. You'll get used to it in the future. The concubines hurriedly shook their heads. No, they weren't used to it at all. The imperial Gui Fei had an adulterer, and it was even a gift from His Majesty. If this was spread, it couldn't be hidden anymore. Imperial Gui Fei, those officials probably won't let you off. Meng De Fei reminded in a small voice, you should think of a way. You don't have to worry about that. Yin Shu Fei interjected, I see that this one's martial arts isn't bad. Let him take you and escape. His Majesty is heartless to you. You don't need to be lectured. Leave the imperial palace, leave this dirty place, and live a life that belongs to you. All right, don't try to persuade me. Leave, Ben Gong won't leave. Tang Guo hurriedly shook her head, this imperial Gui Fei's life is extravagant. I'm not willing to give it up. Leaving the imperial palace means eating dirt. I won't do it. The imperial concubines were speechless. You're already like this and you're still not willing to give up the splendor and wealth. You have to be alive. But seeing that Tang Guo wasn't listening, they didn't know what to say. By now, the news should have spread outside. Then they finally understood why the imperial Gui Fei said that she was satisfied with Xianyuan Mia. This person was truly too considerate. He clearly looked like such a noble person, but he only lowered his head in front of the imperial Gui Fei. He considerately poured tea for her and would whisper in her ear to show his concern for her. When the wind blew, he would even ask the imperial noble consort if she was cold. When he protected the imperial noble consort, he really treated her like a treasure. Concubine Mengde and the others looked at each other. If there was a man who treated them like this every day, they would not be able to control themselves. Compared to the cold and heartless emperor, the man in front of her was obviously more attractive. They had long given up on Xianyuan Mo, but the way the man in front of them treated the imperial noble consort made them think that if they had not entered the palace, would there also be such a person who treated them with care and gentleness. Soon, they came back to their senses. No, it couldn't be. They were all young ladies from prestigious families. Even if they didn't enter the palace, the people they married were either well-matched in social status or from noble families. It was already good enough for their future husband to treat them with respect. This man named Xianyuan Mia was clearly a special case in the heavenly Qin kingdom. As for those aristocratic sons, which one of them didn't have multiple wives and concubines? They definitely wouldn't be as considerate as the other party. On the contrary, as the matriarch, no matter how tired they were, they had to work hard to maintain the relationship between the two families for the sake of their family and their reputation. To deal with all sorts of complicated matters in the family, to avoid causing trouble for their husbands, and to frequently go out to make friends with noble ladies. Just thinking about it made them tired. If they really had to live such a life, it would be better to live leisurely and happily in the palace. The imperial noble consort had suffered a lot to get what she had today. When they thought of how Xianyuan Mo had personally sent a man to the imperial Gui Fei, they felt a chill in their hearts. Chapter 490. The imperial noble consort openly strolled in the imperial garden with a man who wasn't the emperor. Her intimate behavior was known by everyone in less than half a day. When the officials heard this news, they all thought it was unbelievable. Even if they wanted to spread rumors, they shouldn't do something so unbelievable. Although they really wanted to drag the imperial noble consort out and kill her. However, they soon discovered that this matter was true. The matter spread too quickly. By the time Xianyuan Mo reacted, it was too late. Previously, he was disappointed. Even if the imperial noble consort pointed at his nose and scolded him, and the two of them were dazzling in public, he didn't think of revealing this matter. Instead, he tried hard to convince himself that he had let her down. He personally sent his imperial brother over, and all of this was indeed his fault. Her current behavior was all because of his actions that made her bitterly disappointed. He didn't think of doing anything to her at all. However, she didn't seem to care about anything. After everything was settled, she wantonly sought pleasure with his imperial brother in the imperial garden, regardless of the many eyes in the palace. When this matter happened, Xianyuanmo's first thought was how to protect her. He smiled bitterly. If he knew this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? Perhaps this was retribution. Ah Mo, and Ningxiang looked at the man sitting on the dragon throne with a pained expression. Her heart also ached. Are you thinking of how to protect the imperial noble consort? Actually, I didn't expect the imperial noble consort's personality to be so unrestrained. She's really bold. And Ningxiang stood below and didn't walk towards Xianyuan. I especially envy her because she can like someone to the extreme. If she doesn't like that person, she can also take revenge to the extreme. She can ignore everything and just do what she wants. If she doesn't like someone, then she doesn't like that person. If she likes someone, then she likes that person. I have to admit, Mo, the imperial noble consort is a good person. It's your loss to lose this person. And Ningxiang smiled softly. Even though she already likes your elder brother, you can't bear to do anything to her. However, she doesn't seem to appreciate your feelings. Mo, look, how deeply you've hurt this person. I admit that at first, I was very jealous of her and was on guard against her. I even wished that you could cripple her. Ever since I heard what she said that day, I realized that she was even more pitiful than I was. She clearly knew everything, but she didn't say anything. You were so cruel to her, but when she still liked you, she was still willing to do as you said. If it were me, I might not be able to do it. From the very beginning, when I knew the truth, I would have restrained my heart and become an indifferent person. I would have guarded my own land and watched from the sidelines. I would have watched those people in the palace fight and pushed them from behind. I will never believe that love is 30% true to you and 70% false. There will be no such thing as pure love anymore, just to keep your position. As for her, she gradually forgot her love for you and turned around to find her love even more. And Ningxiang suddenly laughed. She is really special. Even though she was hurt so deeply, she still believes in love. I stood far away in the corner of the imperial garden and watched the two of them get along. It was really enviable. Mo, your elder brother really treats her very well. You didn't lose unjustly. I also realized that although she took revenge on you, she truly likes Xianyuan. The way she looks at Xianyuan is full of love. You have already completely lost her. Enough. Xianyuan patted the dragon table with a sullen face. You came just to say this. Chapter 491. I just want to tell Mo that a person like you is not worthy of the purest love. And Ningxiang stared at Xianyuan and sighed. In the future, I won't come looking for you again. I'll listen to you and be a good empress. I won't expect your favor anymore. You don't have to worry about what I'll do to the imperial noble concubine. And Ningxiang whispered, a person like her is transparent and intelligent. In fact, I've never been her match. Even though I'm the empress and she's just an imperial noble concubine, I can't learn her willfulness, arrogance, and domineeringness, and I don't dare to learn it. Xianyuan was stunned. And Ningxiang smiled at him and turned to leave without hesitation. It was as if her previous gentleness had disappeared at this moment. He frowned in discomfort. And Ningxiang shouldn't be someone he liked. It was just a mistake. He wouldn't have any other thoughts about Ningxiang. Could it be that the other party thought that saying these words would remind him of something? No, it couldn't be. It was impossible for him to have any thoughts about Ningxiang. He should be thinking about how to protect the imperial noble concubine. The courtiers outside should be very excited to hear this news, right? That's right, they finally had something on the imperial noble concubine. They could take advantage of the opportunity to ask him to execute the imperial noble concubine. Your Majesty, this is bad. The ministers have gathered many commoners and are kneeling at the entrance of the palace. They want you to punish the imperial noble concubine. Eunuch Li ran in with a head full of sweat. As he wiped his sweat, he said in a trembling voice. He felt bitter in his heart. What was going on? The imperial noble concubine, there was no need to fight to the death like this. Xianyuan Mo was furious. Let them kneel. Your Majesty, there are ministers who even brought their swords. They said that if you don't execute the imperial noble concubine, blood will splash the palace gate. This time, the courtiers were all serious. Which courtier in the heavenly Qin kingdom could tolerate the matter of the imperial noble concubine? She had an adulterer, but instead of hiding it, she had to show it to everyone. This was a challenge to the prestige of the heavenly Qin kingdom. No one could tolerate it. It was said that the commoners outside scolded even more harshly. There were even people who spontaneously organized to write blood letters, all of them wanting to execute the imperial noble concubine. Xianyuan Mo's eyes were a little swollen, and a cold smile appeared on his lips. Then let them die. Your Majesty. Eunuch Li was shocked. He never thought that the emperor would not do anything to imperial concubine Nyangnyang at this time. Xianyuan Mo felt bitter in his heart. He really didn't want to do anything to the imperial noble consort. In fact, he didn't dare to do anything to her. Since his imperial brother dared to be so arrogant, he must have something to rely on. His imperial brother had always planned before acting. He would not give anyone the chance to hurt her. I heard that many people want to execute me. Tanggua sat on the swing leisurely while Xianyuan Mia pushed her gently from behind. Mei Lan and Mei Qing stood on both sides of her. Both of them were very calm and were not worried about the situation outside at all. In her heart, she thought that it wasn't their imperial concubine's fault. Those people might not know that it was Xianyuan Mo's fault that caused all of this, right? It was truly laughable. How could the people of this world be so foolish when they were all cursing their imperial concubines? This couldn't help but remind them of some dynasties in the past. There would always be a few enchantresses who would bring calamity to the country and the people. They would be cursed by the world for causing the destruction of the country. Now that they thought about it, it was truly laughable. How could a woman of the palace have the ability to threaten the survival of an entire country? It was just a few incapable members of the royal family. The Marquis avoided his own mistakes and placed this pot of shit on the woman. It was as disgusting as it could be. Chapter 492. Empress, there are already people gathered outside the palace gates. The citizens of the imperial city have also put down everything in their hands and knelt outside the palace gates, begging the emperor to execute you. Mei Lan's lips curled into a mocking smile as she reported in a low voice, "It is said that outside the imperial city, there are also citizens who can't enter the city. They have been kneeling for half a day with white scarves written in blood on their heads." Tanggua couldn't help but laugh. Then my ability is really amazing. I can actually make the citizens not work and the officials not do anything. Their only goal is to kill me, and they even came up with such a method. It's really hard on them. Why don't those fart citizens think about what they should do to improve their lives today? They even want to carry out a citywide campaign to execute the imperial noble consort. Did they cook for the children and elders at home? Can they eat their fill and wear warm clothes? They do these meaningless things all day long. No wonder they are all fart citizens. Mei Lan and Mei Qing laughed as well. That's right, they heard that there were some youths who couldn't even solve the pot at home. They left their bedridden mothers behind and hurriedly tore a piece of white cloth, bit their fingers and wrote a few words in blood. They wrapped it around their heads and shouted outside the imperial city, "I beg the emperor to execute a woman like the imperial noble consort, who brings disaster to the country and the people." It was really comical. The imperial city is packed with people. Mei Qing added, "Empress, when do we start?" After saying that, she and Mei Qing looked at each other, their eyes shining with excitement. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. Since there are people outside the imperial city, it must be very lively outside the palace gates. Tang Guo stood up and grabbed Xianyuanmie's hand. She smiled, Mie, let's go to the city walls and meet these people who want to kill me." "All right." Xianyuanmie was especially excited. After today, everyone would know him and know that he was the imperial noble consort's man. Just thinking about it made him feel especially emotional. He carefully held the woman's hand and held it tightly in his palm. A warm feeling flowed through his heart. He was really happy. She actually wanted to announce their relationship in such a way. This was even more comfortable than marrying him and holding a wedding. The wedding was only for a fixed number of people, and she wanted to use this opportunity to announce it to the entire Tian Qin kingdom. Guo this was his Guo the woman who made him dizzy. The imperial concubines had been paying attention to Tang Guo's movements. When they heard someone report that she was going to the city gate, they were all shocked. The timid ones hurriedly closed the palace doors and pretended not to know anything, secretly ordering people to watch. Meng Defei, who was more daring, thought for a while and decided to follow Tang Guo up the city wall. Tang Guo looked back at the imperial concubines who had followed her and stopped in her tracks. "Have you all thought about the consequences of following me? Those idle people won't be merciful to you. It's not easy to find something that can be used against those high and mighty people. They will curse me and you with all their might. They might even write you into the unofficial history books. In any case, I'll be locked up in the palace for the rest of my life. They can scold me all they want." Yin Shufei said unconcernedly, "Imperial Gue Fei isn't afraid, so what are we afraid of? With you at the top, if the sky falls, you'll be the first to be hit. Can't we just watch the show?" "That's right, Imperial Gue Fei. How can we miss such a lively event?" Meng Defei added. Tang Guo observed their small movements. Some of them clenched their hands tightly, while others pursed their lips tightly. Their faces were slightly pale, and their legs were trembling. She shook her head and laughed. What a group of women who said one thing and meant another. However, it also meant that she did not do it in vain. These smart women were very aware. "All right, if you want to follow me, then follow me." The group of people arrived at the city wall. There was a commotion outside the palace gate. It was all calls to execute the imperial Gue Fei. The moment Tang Guo stood up, the voices below fell silent. Chapter 493. Outside the palace gates, there were members of the royal family, powerful courtiers, well-reputed noble families, scholars, and street vendors. Tang Guo swept past them one by one. She even saw a group of women dressed in colorful clothes. They were led by a gorgeously dressed middle-aged woman. They were kneeling in a small corner. She couldn't help but smile. Her smile was as beautiful as a flower, and it almost stole the souls of many of the scholars below. They quickly came to their senses and glared at the woman on the wall with red faces and anger. "You are the imperial noble consort who cheated the harem." A courageous scholar stood up and angrily pointed at Tang Guo and scolded, "How can there be such a lewd and unsightly woman in this world? How can you still have the face to live? If you jumped down from the wall, you could still save some face for General Tang. Your actions today are a disgrace to General Tang's loyalty. Your existence is an insult to the entire Tang clan." "That's right, imperial noble consort. Please kill yourself. Don't bring shame to the Tang clan. There is no such person in the Tang clan. General Tang also doesn't have such a woman. As a woman, I really feel ashamed for you. This was a woman dressed in luxurious clothes. Her status should be higher. She looked at Tang Gua as if she was ashamed of her. There shouldn't be someone like her among women. Her existence was a disgrace to all women in the world. Countless people agreed with her. Tang Gua looked indifferently at these people who were angry out of humiliation and cursed without any morals. Although she didn't care, Xian Yuanmia couldn't stand it anymore. If she hadn't held him back, he would have jumped down and killed those people on the spot. Behind him, Consort Mengde, Consort Yin Shu, and the others also turned pale. Countless coldness rose in their hearts. Listening to these unbearable words, their eyes turned red. Some imperial concubines stood behind and secretly wiped their tears. They cursed the imperial noble consort like this, but how could they know who caused all this? It was the emperor they respected, the person who was held in the highest position by them. They looked at the woman who stood at the front. Her expression didn't change at all despite the curses. The corners of her mouth seemed to be slightly raised with a smile. This made them feel even more uncomfortable. If they were the ones standing there, they would have jumped down the wall in humiliation and done as they wished. But the imperial noble consort wasn't. She was like a high and mighty queen looking down on all living things. At this moment, they felt that she was so delicate but also very powerful. An hour passed. They cursed for an entire hour. Suddenly, they found that the demoness on the wall was actually smiling at them. She wasn't ashamed of their words at all. This woman's shamelessness has reached such a level. I've seen it for myself. When Tang Gua heard this, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. That's because you're short-sighted. There are many things about this consort that you haven't seen yet. You fart commoners, open your dog eyes and take a good look. This consort doesn't care at all how you cursed this consort today. Tang Gua smiled. The sun is already up. Let this consort give you a piece of advice. Those who should go back to work, go back to work. You aren't this consort. You have endless glory, splendor, wealth, and money to spend. If you don't work for a day, how will your families live? Scholars below, instead of cursing this consort here, why don't you read a few more books and broaden your horizons? Hearing your words, this consort is worried about your future. You're all fine scholars, but you're cursing like a shrew. This consort has seen it all. Chapter 494. Aren't you studying for fame and fortune? It said that there's a house of gold in the books, and there's a beauty like jade. Do you think you can be conferred the title of Marquis by scolding me here? Wake up. Why don't you go back and read books for the country and the people and get a good name first? Do you feel that it's especially satisfying to scold a woman like me? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment? Do you think that's so? What if you're the high and mighty Imperial Gui Fei? You'll still be scolded to death. Alright, I won't die. I'll live well. Are you angry? Fly up and chop me. I'm standing right here. Come if you have the ability. Tang Gua drew her soft sword and slashed at the city wall. A huge hole was instantly cut open in the stone. Gravel flew down, shocking everyone. I've killed people before. Back then, when Xianyuan Imo was assassinated, more than half of the 20 or so death warriors had their throats slit by me. She raised her eyebrows and glanced at the pale-faced scholars who hurriedly retreated. She chuckled softly. What, are you afraid? You didn't expect me to have such martial arts skills, right? I've already said that your knowledge is too shallow. You've read so many books for so many years, but what have you read? Like everyone else, you've only seen the surface. Haven't you thought about the secrets hidden within? Haven't you ever thought about why I, a dignified imperial Guifei, would seek pleasure with other men who aren't the emperor, and even stroll around the imperial garden in such a high-profile manner? If this matter were to spread, wouldn't it be used against me? There are too many people in the heavenly Qin kingdom who want to kill me. Am I so stupid as to let you grab hold of my weakness? Isn't it your nature to be lustful? Someone mustered up their courage and said. Tang Guo shook her head and chuckled, I'm already an imperial Guifei. Why would I do such a thing? I might even be written into history and be scolded for thousands of years. Why do I have to do this? Don't listen to her nonsense. She's trying to clear her name. Tang Guo looked at that person and chuckled, as a woman, you actually can't tolerate me like this. You're dressed extraordinarily, so you should be the madam of some marquis, right? What? You can't bear to see me act so recklessly and disregard the advice of the world. Don't worry, there are still many things that you won't be able to see in the future. You won't be able to correct me in this lifetime. Since this consort dares to stand here today, this consort isn't afraid of being scolded or pointed out. You can write poems, make up songs, and use all sorts of words to scold this consort. This consort won't be vexed because of this. Instead, this consort will use all her strength to mock you, a bunch of foolish commoners. When everyone heard the woman's words, their faces turned pale. In the past, no matter which woman it was, after being scolded a little, they would not be able to take it anymore. They would either jump into the lake or hang themselves at home. They really didn't think that after being scolded by the entire city, she would still be able to scold them back with a smile. This woman who scolded them until they were speechless, her skin was really thicker than the city walls. Xianyuan Mo rushed over and heard the scene of the woman cursing at the countless people below. Facing the curses of countless people, not only did her expression not change, she even had a mocking look and looked down on everyone. He stood still and clenched his fists. She was so attractive. Why didn't he notice it before? His eyes stung. Wasn't everything that happened today caused by him? There are women in the brothel below, right? Did you come here to see that the high and mighty Imperial Guifei is actually inferior to you? Tang Guo stared at the group of women. No, this consort is different from you. This consort doesn't despise your status, but wants to mock your actions of coming here. Chapter 495. Your Majesty the Emperor is here. When Xianyuan Mo arrived, Tang Guo had already noticed him. Next, let him come up and say a few words for you. Didn't you want him to execute me? Now, you can kneel down and beg. Draw your swords and commit suicide. Splash your blood on the palace gate and use this to threaten him to execute me. Xianyuan Mo dragged his heavy steps to Tang Guo's side. At this time, Xianyuan Mia, who had been standing at the back, also came to Tang Guo's side and held her waist possessively. The two people who looked exactly the same really surprised the people below. How could this be? Why did that man look exactly the same as the emperor? Xianyuan Mo was wearing a dragon robe. This man was wearing a black robe. Although the color was ordinary, it was obvious that the style was not simple. Although this man looked exactly the same as the emperor, his expression was very different. Most importantly, he stood on the city wall and acted intimately with the imperial noble consort, but the emperor did not get angry. What was going on? There were already many people who felt that something was amiss. Your Majesty, please execute the imperial noble consort. If you keep her here, you will bring shame to the entire royal family. For this old subject is willing to commit suicide on the spot. Your Majesty, the imperial noble consort cannot be left alive. Your Majesty, this chaos in the palace has brought shame to the entire Tian Qin kingdom. Such a person cannot become the imperial noble consort. If you really want to let her go, wouldn't you be setting an example for all the women in the world? If all the women learn from her, the world will be in chaos. When Tang Guo heard this, she laughed, old shameless. Only you, a man, are allowed to take in 18 concubines and visit the brothel as you please. As long as a woman does something out of line, you will fight against the heavens, the earth, and the air. Only when you kill her will you be satisfied. I think you're afraid. You're afraid that there won't be any more women who won't listen to you in the future. It's indeed a rather troublesome matter. But if you want to kill me, just come up and commit suicide on the spot. Try it. If you really cut your neck, I'll clap my hands for you and help you take care of the old and young at home. How about it? Seeing that person's flushed face with her own eyes, Tang Guo was very happy. Your Majesty, do you want to make it clear to them? Are you going to execute me or let me go? Xianyuan Mo tasted bitterness in his mouth. He looked at the people who were looking at him agitatedly and was silent for a moment before saying, "We will not execute the imperial consort. If you are willing to commit suicide, then do so. If you want to kill yourselves, then kill yourselves. If you want to kill yourselves, then kill yourselves. Your Majesty, you can't. The imperial noble consort really can't be kept. Just how much soup did she feed you? If this continues, the might of the heavenly Qin Empire will be gone." Tang Guo laughed in her heart. Wasn't it the might of the heavenly Qin Empire? They would know in a while. Your emperor doesn't dare to kill me. The reason for that is because he has wronged me. Xianyuan Mo clenched his fists but did not say anything to stop her. He was indeed the one who had wronged her. Today was her revenge. Even if he had to risk universal condemnation, disregard his own life, and make the whole country know about it, he still had to take revenge on him. It was obvious that she really hated him. Well, it was better for her to hate him than not care about him. His name is Xianyuan Mia. Tang Guo introduced Xianyuan Mia to everyone. He's the only man I've ever had. Do you think these words are strange? Shouldn't my man be the emperor? Tang Guo laughed. I'm really not afraid of you laughing at me. This really is a joke. Chapter 496. Listen well, this consort will only say it once. This consort dares to say it, so this consort isn't afraid of your curses. In the future, you can curse however you want. No matter how you curse, this consort will tell you right now that this consort will only have one man, Xianyuan Mia. Tang Guo glanced at the silent Xianyuan Mo with a cold smile. To be honest, this consort used to really love this emperor of yours. She chuckled softly when she saw Xianyuan Mo's expression. However, this consort doesn't love him anymore. Your emperor is an unreachable person. This consort can't afford to love him and doesn't dare to love him. Now, this consort only loves one person, and that's your emperor's twin brother, Xianyuan Mia. If you ask how we met, would you blame this consort for luring the harem? Tang Guo looked up at the quiet people below. As expected, people liked to listen to stories, especially stories about her, the imperial Gui Fei. Look at how quiet they were. In order to listen to the secret history of the palace, they actually stopped cursing her. Oh Mia, this person, it was your emperor who personally sent him to this consort's bed. Countless people were shocked when they heard this. This was impossible. Absolutely impossible. This was everyone's reaction. They hurriedly looked towards Xianyuan Mo and saw that he actually didn't refute this. Their hearts sank. Could it be that this was true? Of course it's true. Tang Guo chuckled softly, her eyes filled with ridicule. Because he doesn't like this consort, he refused to serve this consort again and again. When this consort was of marriageable age and couldn't refuse anymore, he found Amia to replace him and be together with this consort. You all think that this consort is very favored, but you don't know that the person who comes to this consort every night isn't your respected emperor, but yeah. This consort isn't afraid of you knowing. This consort found out on the first day that yeah isn't Xianyuan Mo. We didn't do anything on the first day. At that time, this consort still had some hope. However, no matter how patient a person is, no matter how pure their infatuation, it will still be destroyed by reality. Of course, it's also easy to be moved by sincerity. This consort later found out that yeah is really good. When it's cold, he'll rub my hands to keep me warm. When it's rainy and my knees hurt, he'll carefully massage them. He's really meticulous with me. Compared to Xianyuan Mo's coldness, who wouldn't like this kind of person? He's full of good points. This consort truly thinks that he's very good. This consort has gradually forgotten about that cold and heartless person. Xianyuan Mo's throat was dry, but he did not refute. You can scold me all you want. I don't care. It was he, Xianyuan Mo, who was willing to wear the green hat, so I will do as he wished and let him wear it for the rest of his life. Everyone was already somewhat numb. The truth had indeed caught them off guard. Xianyuan Mo did not object. That tacit agreement made them feel somewhat uncomfortable in their hearts. Your Majesty, is this true? Some of the courtiers asked in disbelief. Xianyuan Mo was silent, which could be considered as tacit agreement. A few of the older courtiers couldn't take it and fainted. Regardless of whether it's true or not, we still suggest that the imperial noble consort be executed. Her methods are extreme and it's easy for her to lead the women of the world astray. If she doesn't set a good example, she must be executed. The truth that Tanggua had revealed was a slap to their faces. Now, they wanted to execute her even more. Only with her death would this secret slowly disappear, and only then would it be able to cover up all of their foolish actions. Tanggua smiled but did not answer. At this moment, a fast horse galloped over. The person on the horse shouted, reporting. Reporting to Your Majesty, our Tianqin state is surrounded by a large number of troops. A large group of troops has also gathered outside the imperial city. Chapter 497. Countless people had yet to react as they stared blankly at the man who delivered the urgent report to the city gate. What? Thinking back, they were all in disbelief. The heavenly Qin kingdom was surrounded. The imperial city was also surrounded. Was this a joke? The heavenly Qin kingdom was a superpower. It was so big, how could it be surrounded? Also, how did the army outside the imperial city come? How could they come without a sound? This must be a joke. Someone must be joking. At this moment, they heard a loud bang. The huge tremor caused everyone in the imperial city to fall into panic. Their faces turned pale as they stabilized their bodies. Could it be that the earth was shaking? Soon, they realized that this was not an earthquake. The crowd behind them parted. The sound of wheels and horse hooves approached from afar. When they knew what it was, they felt dizzy. An army. Where did this large army come from? What was that pitch-black pillar that was placed on top of the handcart? Why did it feel so scary? The entire city, whether it was the commoners or the nobles, hurriedly made way, allowing the large group of people to arrive at the palace gate. At this moment, they saw a tall man riding a horse in front of them. He was fully armed and his face could not be seen clearly. However, that figure looked somewhat familiar. However, they could not see his appearance clearly and the time was too far away. For a moment, they could not remember where they had seen such a familiar figure. Xiao Guo. Suddenly, the man shouted. His voice was deep and filled with longing and love. Xiao Guo has been wronged. From now on, no one will dare to bully my Xiaoguo. Everyone was familiar with this voice. They were shocked. Wasn't this General Tang's voice? The courtier's legs trembled. Why? Didn't General Tang die in battle? So many years had passed, but General Tang's reputation still intimidated them to the point of not daring to speak. If this person was General Tang, they looked at each other and silently lowered their heads. General Tang took off his helmet and revealed his original appearance. He looked at the woman on the city wall with a loving expression. Xiaoguo, come down. From now on, with father supporting you, no one will dare to bully you. Father. Tanguo had a smile on her face as she called out in a crisp voice. Her obedient appearance was completely different from the arrogant and despotic imperial noble consort from before. She tugged at Xianyuan Mia beside her and said, Mia, take me down. I want to see father properly. Xianyuan Mia didn't care about the others. He grabbed her waist and jumped down from the city wall. He came to General Tang and bowed to him. Father-in-law, greetings. General Tang snorted and didn't say anything. He just went forward and hugged Tanguo. After so many years, his little Guo could finally live as she wished. Now that he had the ability to protect her, he wasn't afraid of letting her do whatever she wanted in the heavenly Qin kingdom. He didn't feel guilty at all. First, he let down his family Tang. The person he Xiaoguo was Xianyuan Mo, the Xianyuan royal family. As long as these people knew what was good for them, he wouldn't do anything to the heavenly Qin kingdom. He only wanted his daughter to have a good time in the harem. I've been wronged. Tanguo shook her head and said with a smile, No, I'm not someone who will suffer losses. I'm very happy with Mia accompanying me. I'll live better than anyone else in the future. Father, you don't have to worry. General Tang choked up and patted her head. If this is what little Guo likes, then father will always be your backing. Do whatever you want. Chapter 498. Everyone in the city was still in shock. First, the imperial concubine revealed the truth of the palace. Then, General Tang came back from the dead with such a large army. They felt as if they were dreaming. This couldn't be real, right? However, everything in front of them told them that this was real. General Tang was not dead and had even surrounded the imperial city with an army. General Tang, are you rebelling? General Tang looked at the flustered and exasperated person and said with a smile, Rebellion? I really don't care at all. My great Tang dynasty doesn't need a mere heavenly Qin kingdom. What big words, a mere heavenly Qin kingdom. Wait, what great Tang dynasty? They looked at each other and couldn't help but glance at the army. Only then did they realize that there was a sail with the word Tang written on it. For some reason, they felt a little afraid and had an indescribable bad premonition. All of you, listen up. It's your Xianyuan royal family that has let down my Xiaoguo. You have let down me, Tang Feng, who has devoted half my life to the heavenly Qin kingdom. Today, I, Tang Feng, only want to say one thing. As long as you don't deal with my Xiaoguo, I won't do anything to the heavenly Qin kingdom. Once your heavenly Qin kingdom dares to do anything to my Xiaoguo, just wait for my great Tang dynasty's army to trample the heavenly Qin kingdom. Xiaoguo is the most honorable princess of my great Tang dynasty. Her status is more honorable than any of you, and you still want to execute her. Tang Feng sneered, who is it? Stand out and let this emperor see. Everyone swallowed their saliva and hurriedly retreated. Tang Feng seemed to be unwilling to give up. He waved his hand and said, Let these people see the capabilities of my great Tang dynasty. With that said, someone went to fiddle with the round pillar on the cart. The soldier ignited something and heard a familiar boom. The city wall not far away was blasted open, creating a hole. Rocks flew everywhere. The faces of the people standing nearby were scratched by small rocks. Facing this fierce weapon, no one was not afraid of retreating. Xianyuan Mia whispered into Tanggua's ear, "Is this what's recorded in that book?" "Yes." Xianyuan Mia laughed and held his beloved's hand. "My Gua is so amazing. To be able to take out such a good thing. Oh Mia, you are from the heavenly Qin kingdom. Shouldn't you be as afraid as them now?" Tanggua joked. Xianyuan Mia hugged her waist and said in a low voice, "I'm already married to Gua. I'm Gua-er's man and the man of the noblest princess of the Tang dynasty. What's there to be afraid of?" Tang Feng turned around and saw that the two of them were lovey-dovey. He was speechless, but when he thought about how this person who looked like Xianyuan Mo treated Xiaoguo well, he decided not to bicker. If this person did not exist, he did not know what Xiaoguo's life would be like in the future. Therefore, he drew a clear distinction between Xianyuan Mia and the Xianyuan royal family. Xianyuan Mia was different. He was someone who stood by Xiaoguo's side wholeheartedly. He was also someone that Xiaoguo liked. As a father, he could only stand behind her and protect her. This man could accompany Xiaoguo for the rest of his life and protect her at all times. With him around, this man would not dare to do anything. Xianyuan Mo was also dumbfounded. General Tang was still alive. He had even become the emperor of that great Tang dynasty. He had led an army to surround the imperial city and the entire Tian Qin kingdom. All of this really felt like a dream. Why was he still so calm? Why wasn't he angry at all? Looking at that unknown weapon that could blast a huge hole in the city wall, he knew that Tang Feng wasn't exaggerating at all. With just this, it was only a matter of time before the other party took down the Tian Qin kingdom. Chapter 499. General Tang, you have been loyal all your life. Why did you do such a treasonous thing? Tang Feng sneered, treason. Treason. If it wasn't for my Xiaoguo's intelligence, I might have really been accused of treason by Xianyuan Mo. Men, bring them all up here. Today, we will have a good talk about treason. Let's talk about how I, Tang Feng, have been loyal to the heavenly Qin kingdom all my life, but in the end, I was almost accused of treason. My Xiaoguo was also schemed against by a villain and almost never made a comeback. Even. Tang Feng's eyes were red. She was labeled as a demoness who brought disaster to the country. You guys splashed all kinds of dirty water on Xiaoguo. You only know how to criticize her, but do you know who the mastermind is? Xianyuan Mo. Xianyuan Mo raised his head in a daze and clenched his fists without saying a word. Then, he heard Tang Feng say, I, Tang Feng, will not take your heavenly Qin kingdom. What happens to your heavenly Qin kingdom has nothing to do with me, Tang Feng. And my Xiaoguo will live in your harem from now on. All of you, come up and explain clearly to these ignorant people. Is it me, Tang Feng, who has let down the heavenly Qin kingdom, or is it the Xianyuan royal family who has let down me, Tang Feng, and my Xiaoguo? The few people who were brought up were submissive. In the end, they gave in and said, many years ago, we followed His Majesty's instructions and planned to frame him. Frame General Tang for treason. The person who spoke closed his eyes and finished his sentence in one breath. Who knew that General Tang would first be poisoned and then die in battle? That's why he didn't succeed. With that said, everyone was shocked as they looked at Xianyuan Mo, who was standing on the city wall, in disbelief. Was this really true? Seeing Xianyuan Mo's silence, their hearts sank. So it was true. The Yin family was also among them. The current situation had caught them off guard. Your Majesty personally sent a man to my Xiaoguo for the person he fancied. I, Tang Feng, have never done anything wrong to the Xianyuan royal family. I didn't expect to end up like this. Tang Feng sneered. In order to make a Ningxiang the empress, your family actually sent men of sacrifice to assassinate Xianyuan Mo and used this as a catalyst to make a Ningxiang the empress. Back then, you were also involved in the framing, right? The members of the family were all pale. They had done this very secretly, so how did Tang Feng know? Xianyuan Mo, who had been silent all this time, finally raised his head. His eyes were sharp as he looked at the family. Did you send those men of sacrifice? But Ningxiang did block the arrow for him. At that time, she was pregnant, so she blocked the arrow for him. Did she know or not? Does Ningxiang know that you sent her? General An's face paled. Even this matter had been investigated. It could be seen that Tang Feng knew their movements like the back of his hand. Now that the other party was the emperor of a dynasty, the family's power was gone. Ningxiang didn't know. General An seemed to have aged ahead. If she knew, she wouldn't be able to deceive His Majesty. It wasn't that he wanted to absolve Ningxiang of her crime. And Ningxiang really didn't know. Today, the family was going to be hated by His Majesty, so they could only rely on Ningxiang. She was the empress, and she was pregnant with Xianyuan Mo's child. Xianyuan Mo's face paled as he took a step back. His entire person became dispirited, and his eyes lost their light. The onlookers didn't know what to say for a moment. Scolding the imperial noble consort, they felt at ease. In the end, it was all Xianyuan Mo's fault. If they scolded Xianyuan Mo, wouldn't they be scolding themselves as well? Chapter 501. In less than 2 days, he left with his men and gave Tangguo a command token for the army. The army set up camp outside the imperial city. Gradually, a city was built, Datong City. When they were free, they pretended to be ordinary people and started to make a living. However, the dazzling cannons still made the people of the imperial city live in fear and trepidation. Many people didn't say it, but they complained about Xianyuan Mo in their hearts. If it weren't for his selfishness, would he have to live under the shadow of being bombarded by cannons every day? Who dared to scold the imperial concubine? If the imperial concubine's men heard it, a cannon would blow their homes to smithereens. They didn't want to die. Later, a funny thing happened. Some people actually wrote songs and poems to praise the imperial concubine. Some people even made up stories. Unknowingly, countless people in the imperial city praised the imperial concubine as a woman with a true temperament. Not to mention other things, there were many women who stood up because of the imperial concubine. They couldn't bear it anymore and stood up bravely to face the injustice. Originally, the imperial concubine had nothing to do with this. These things could be suppressed. However, one day, the imperial concubine and her adulterer came out of the palace and happened to see a woman being beaten by her husband. She recognized the imperial concubine. That day, she knelt at the city wall and saw the imperial concubine's appearance. After hearing about the imperial concubine's deeds, she admired the imperial concubine's courage. She was beaten badly and didn't think too much. She rushed up and knelt in front of the woman. "Imperial concubine, I beg you, please save this commoner." "What do you need this concubine to save you for?" She talked about her experience. She was beaten by her husband who liked to gamble all year round. In the past, the people around her would only persuade her. Who didn't live like this? If her husband beat her, then so be it. She still had to live her life behind closed doors. She just had to endure it. When she became a woman and her children grew up, her life would be better when her husband couldn't touch her and died. She used to think so too. However, the imperial concubine's life overturned her thoughts. Why? Why did she have to endure her husband's beatings? Why did her husband have to gamble with the money she worked so hard to earn? Why did she have to forgive her husband regardless of the consequences just because he said a few good words? Why did she have to think that her husband was a good person when he didn't gamble? Why did she have to endure all of this? Just because this person was occasionally good, she had to accept him as a jerk and a violent person for a lifetime. No, she didn't want to. You don't want to live with him anymore. Yes. The woman said firmly, although I have a pair of ugly hands, I can support myself and my children. Other than gambling, I really can't think of any other use for this man. After she finished speaking, she saw the woman sitting in the carriage gently smile. All right, this consort will help you get a divorce. Not only will this consort help you get a divorce, this consort will also let you live a life that everyone will envy. Later, she divorced her husband. With the imperial noble consort's deterrence, that man was also afraid of death. He was afraid of being bombarded, so he didn't dare to cause trouble for her at all. He didn't even dare to visit his child. Later, it was said that he owed too much money and was beaten to death by the Zhuang family. As for her, she was now the boss of a dye house and embroidery shop. She spent a lot of money to hire 50 guards. No matter where she went, she would have 10 guards following her. If anyone dared to say a word about her, her guards wouldn't be merciful. As expected, she lived a life that everyone envied. Chapter 502. The imperial noble consort was a legend. To the women in the imperial city and the entire heavenly Qin kingdom, the more they understood this woman, the more they admired her. No one dared to interfere with the imperial noble consort's tyranny in the heavenly Qin kingdom. As long as there were women in the heavenly Qin kingdom who sought justice, she would interfere. No one could do anything to her. When some of the unreasonable people heard that the imperial noble consort was involved in this matter, they immediately ran away in fear. Gradually, the women of the heavenly Qin kingdom really stood up. The men no longer dared to treat the women like goods. Be it ordinary citizens or powerful officials, they all respected their wives and concubines. They were afraid that once they were harsh to their wives and concubines, another imperial noble consort would appear. Later on, they realized that treating their wives better had yielded unexpected results. The men who had tasted the sweetness also understood that being more sincere to women was a great benefit. They no longer felt disgusted by this matter. All the women were grateful to the imperial noble consort who cuckolded the emperor every day and acted recklessly. In fact, over the years, other than meddling in other people's business, occasionally bringing her adulterer around the palace, or taking people out for a ride, the imperial noble consort really hadn't done anything bad. She had never been interested in the political affairs of the heavenly Qin kingdom. She wouldn't take the initiative to interfere unless someone begged her to attract her and arouse her interest. She would only interfere if she felt that it was somewhat interesting. If one wanted to say that she was a warm-hearted person, then it would be a huge mistake. There had once been a woman who had begged her. The imperial noble consort discovered that this woman had just changed and was then coaxed back by her husband with a few words. No matter what this woman begged in the future, she would not see her again. This made many people understand that the imperial noble consort was not a benevolent person. Xianyuan Mo was still the emperor. He was still talented, but many people could tell that even though he was conscientious in handling court affairs, his life was not good. The courtiers did not dare to say anything. As long as the emperor did not drop the ball, they would be glad. The young prince was also born. He was currently being taught by the empress and had even invited a few grand tutors. The courtiers planned to nurture the young prince well. Xianyuan Mo seemed to have tacitly agreed with their actions. Other than handling court affairs, he was completely muddle-headed. Just like that, many years passed. The imperial noble consort's appearance was still the same. Her relationship with Xianyuanmia had improved. The concubines could often see the two of them strolling in the imperial garden hand in hand. Xianyuanmia would often pick the most beautiful flower and put it on her. The two of them smiled at each other, showing the affection in each other's eyes. The imperial noble consort's legs were not good, so she was mostly carried out by Xianyuanmia. Over the years, her legs had been getting worse. Every time she met someone, it was on Xianyuanmia's back. But every time, he could see that she was smiling happily on Xianyuanmia's back. When Xianyuanmia asked her if her leg hurt, she said it didn't. Xianyuanmia's heartache and careful look showed that he really loved her. She had not left the palace for a long time, and her body could not compare to the aged emperor of the Great Tang. Many people knew that the imperial noble consort didn't have much time left. The consorts were much quieter than before. Meng Defei and the others looked much younger than the empress who worked so hard. And Ningxiang looked to be in her 40s, but they looked to be only 28. As for the imperial noble consort, she actually looked even younger. They often wondered why she didn't live long when she was so young. Chapter 503. On this day, Ningxiang led the 8-year-old little crown prince to the imperial garden. The little crown prince stared at the man and woman in the pavilion. The man was massaging the imperial noble consort's legs. "Mother, is that the imperial noble consort?" "Yes, she is the imperial noble consort." The little crown prince pursed his lips. "She doesn't look well." "Yes, her body is not well. She is so beautiful." And Ningxiang nodded. "No one can compare to her elegance. I heard that she is the princess of the Tang dynasty. I also heard that she helped the Tang dynasty with many suggestions. She opened up the overseas market and introduced countless new products. She improved the vegetables and grain seeds. Everyone in the Tang dynasty eats meat for every meal. Even dogs have meat to eat every day." The little crown prince's eyes flashed. "Mother, why is she here?" "Mother, if she leaves the harem, will she be able to benefit the people of the world?" "Mother, why can't women be officials? If a woman is talented, she will definitely be able to benefit the people. Don't you think so?" And Ningxiang's eyes were filled with tears. She choked. Yes. She secretly wiped her tears. Her son was so sensible. He knew so much at such a young age. If you like a woman in the future, you must not hurt innocent women for her. Do you understand?" "I understand. I won't be a heartless person. It's not easy to be a woman. If I really like someone, I won't take anyone else into the palace. I will only marry her." Hearing this, Ningxiang couldn't hold it in anymore. Her tears fell. Her son was very good. "Mother, I want to go back to study." The little crown prince looked at the time and said anxiously. Actually, he wanted to see the imperial noble consort. He knew more than his mother thought. But seeing that the two of them were immersed in their own world, he could only give up. And Ningxiang didn't miss the reluctance and admiration in the little crown prince's eyes. Who didn't admire the imperial noble consort? The things she did, not to mention women, even men couldn't compare. Now, there were countless people who wanted to live in the Tang dynasty. Then let's go back. The crown prince looked back a few more times before finally leaving. He clenched his fist. He would work hard and not lose to a woman. He would be more outstanding than the imperial noble consort and make his mother proud. Yeah, let's go back to the Tang dynasty. Tang Guo hugged Xianyuanmia's neck and stared in the direction where the little crown prince and Ningxiang left. She said in a low voice, I don't want to stay here anymore. All right. Yeah, you're so likable. Xianyuan Mia did not know whether to laugh or cry. He kissed her forehead and smoothed her hair before carrying her up. Let's go now. Let's go now. Not saying goodbye to the others. No need. All right. She left. Meng Defei suddenly stood up. She lifted her skirt and rushed to the top of the city wall. She could only see the back of the carriage. Through the curtain that was blown by the wind, she could vaguely see two figures leaning against each other. She finally couldn't control her tears and shouted into the distance, Imperial Noble Consort Jijie, you're leaving just like that. Why are you in such a hurry? Why didn't you say goodbye? Yin Shufei and the other imperial concubines all ran up the city walls and watched as the carriage slowly moved forward. Tears streamed down their faces as they waved goodbye to the people in the carriage. Imperial Noble Consort Jijie, thank you. Yin Shufei muttered in a low voice. Thank you for giving them a different life. It made them understand that women didn't need to revolve around a man to live a good life. Tang Guo lifted the curtain and looked back with a smile. Go live the life you want. The little crown prince won't make things difficult for you. The Tang dynasty's army will retreat and never appear in the Tianqin kingdom again. Chapter 505. The current situation doesn't seem too good, Tongzi. Dear host, you're about to be expelled from the sect. The system said carefully. It had only seen a little of the plot, but the situation was unfavorable for the host. Tang Guo didn't say anything else. Now wasn't the time to look at the plot and accept the memories. She had to get through this first. To be honest, she had often felt weak when she transmigrated, so she didn't panic at all. Sect Master 1, I remember there's a rule in Xinyue sect. Those who harm their fellow disciples should be expelled from the sect. Ling Yiling's lips curled into a cold smile. Not only did Tang Guo harm her fellow disciples, she even stole your sect's most precious treasure. It's not right for such a disciple to remain in the sect. Tang Guo lowered her eyes. Does this man in a black robe hate her to the core? She didn't need to guess to know that any man who loved the female lead would hate her to the core. They would want to kill her. Elder Bai, what do you think? When Ziqiu glanced at the man in white. Tang Guo is Elder Bai's disciple. How should Elder Bai deal with this? Bai Wuqing finally looked up and glanced at the others. Finally, he stopped in front of Tang Guo and asked coldly, why did you steal the sect's treasure? I don't know. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes and looked at the person in front of her. She communicated with the system. It's him. The system was shocked. Why was the host able to recognize him every single time? But the current situation didn't seem too good. Even Bai Wuqing, who was usually expressionless, couldn't help but frown. You don't know why you stole the sect's treasure? I don't know. Tang Guo was confused. She hadn't received her memories yet, so she really didn't know. As for whether she stole it or not, that was still a question. Bai Wuqing was a little surprised. The personality of the Tang Guo in front of him seemed to have changed. Suddenly, his expression became a lot sharper. He went up and pressed on Tang Guo's head. When he felt that her soul was still a familiar soul, and that she hadn't been possessed, his expression softened. Tang Guo and the system could not understand why they could not tell that they had been possessed when they transmigrated into someone else's body. Sect Master, I think this matter is still suspicious. Why don't we investigate further? Bai Wuqing finally spoke. Originally, he was a cold-hearted person. Even though Tang Guo was his disciple, he didn't really care about her life or death. But just now, something stirred in his heart, causing him to make this decision. Foam Failing, on the other hand, refused to comply. Foam Failing was the woman dressed in fiery red. Elder Bai, there are records of Tangwa stealing the sect's most valuable treasure and the image stone. There's also evidence of her murderous plot against me and her attempt to destroy my spirit root. At this time, is Elder Bai still going to protect her? If it wasn't for Elder Bai's sake, I wouldn't have destroyed her spirit root so easily. I would have taken her life directly. Master, I have already made a lot of concessions by sparing Tangwa's life today. If Tangwa stays in the sect, I will leave. Foam Failing coldly said. Do you want Tangwa or do you want me? Choose for yourself. When Zichio looked at Foam Failing's angry appearance, and a flash of adoration appeared in her eyes. But she quickly concealed it. This time, it was indeed Ling who had been wronged. He immediately stopped questioning Bai Wuqing and announced, Tangwa killed her fellow disciples and stole the sect's most valuable treasure. Now that her spirit root has been destroyed, I have decided to strip her of her status as a Star Moon sect disciple. Chapter 506. Tangwa, please leave my sect as soon as possible, Wen Zichio said with a serious expression. Wen Zichio said with a serious expression. A trace of disgust flashed in his eyes. Those who hurt Ling deserve to end up like this. Tangwa's heart did not waver. She only looked at Bai Wuqing a few more times, and a trace of regret flashed through her heart. She said to the system, in this world, he's not cute anymore. Great host, it's fine. Let's end this world soon. The system felt a bit of heartache. How many happy worlds had the great host lived? Seeing her happy, it was happy too. After traveling through time for so many years, it finally saw the great host's sincere smile. Now it's back to square one. Great host, maybe you can salvage the situation. Tangwa could not help but laugh. What's there to salvage? Look, my original body's spirit root was destroyed, but he didn't stop it. It's obvious that he doesn't care. I've never liked to force others to like me. Alright. The people of Star Moon sect watched as the peerless genius, who once had a transcendent status, got up from the ground with her spirit root destroyed and covered in blood. Countless people were happy, but there were also some who felt a bit sad. When she stood up shakily, a smile actually appeared on that delicate and beautiful but pale face. She glanced at Foam Failing, and finally her gaze landed on Bai Wuqing. Right, this person seemed to be the master of this body. No matter what, she had to save him. Master. Bai Wuqing looked up at her and said coldly, what else do you have to say? Master, just now, this disciple's spirit root was destroyed. Why didn't you stop it? Bai Wuqing was stunned. You framed the sect and stole the sect's treasure. Destroying your spirit root is the sect's rule. Master, actually, I'm not someone who likes to follow the rules. Tangwa laughed. She had already accepted this body, and when she saw Bai Wuqing, she also accepted the feelings of the original body. She loved Bai Wuqing. Even if I'm unforgivable, I still hope that the person closest to me can help me say a few words. Even if you can't stop it, it's better to just stand at the side and watch coldly without saying anything. Suddenly, she laughed. I'm asking for too much. Master is a cold person with a transcendent status. Many people can't compare to him in terms of cultivation level. Even if he's a personal disciple, he won't even enter your eyes. Looking at your high and mighty appearance, she whispered, as if she was speaking only to him, I just want to see you descend into the boundless hell. She was a vengeful person. This aloof and indifferent look was really asking for a beating. She was a person who liked to shield her own disciples. The situation before her eyes was obviously not as simple as it seemed. However, Bai Wuqing did not even think of fighting for more time to investigate. It was clear that he really did not care about this disciple of his. How could I? While Bai Wuqing was still in a daze, she walked closer to him, and a radiant smile appeared on her pale face. In a low voice, she said, "After I leave today, I don't know if we'll be able to meet again. Disciple has something to say to Master. Master, do you know that disciple admires you?" She looked straight into Bai Wuqing's eyes, and instantly caught the uneasiness in his eyes. She understood in her heart that he knew. Today's matter was most likely because he wanted to escape from her, so he deliberately did not investigate to the end. "Master, you're really heartless." She lowered her head. "Since you're like this, disciple will let go of you from today onwards. I'll take back my past infatuation." She could already feel the heavy feelings of love that the original body had for Bai Wuqing. She, who did not know her memories, could only follow her feelings. Chapter 507. Bai Wuqing, I'm leaving. Tang Guo pulled away from Bai Wuqing and turned around with a faint smile. Dragging her heavy footsteps, she staggered step by step and left under everyone's gaze. Her back was stained with blood, and it made people feel a little depressed. There was a moment in Bai Wuqing's heart where he wanted to go and grab her. Xiao Guo loved him, and he had already noticed it a few years ago. Ever since she entered the sect, Xiao Guo's reputation wasn't too good. People often said that she was too materialistic. Cultivation was hard work, but he didn't need this kind of cultivation partner. Xiao Guo had a jumpy personality, and she was scheming. She was also ruthless and talkative, and he liked to be quiet. Similarly, he didn't like all kinds of scheming encounters. He hated this disciple of his, and that was why he didn't stop what happened before. Looking at her disappearing figure in the clouds, Bai Wuqing suddenly felt empty in his heart, and it was very uncomfortable. Shouldn't he hate Xiao Guo? Why was it that when she disappeared, he felt so uncomfortable, and the images that popped up in his mind were all the times when the two of them were together? Bai Wuqing's cold face frowned, and he stood there motionless. When Feng Feiling saw this, a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he pulled Ling Yiling away. "Bai Wuqing, oh Bai Wuqing, it must be hard for you to see the person you like being crippled." She wasn't in a hurry. She would take everything one step at a time. She glanced at the man beside her who was looking at her with a doting expression, and laughed coldly in her heart. She really wasn't in a hurry. No one could escape. Those who had wronged her before would all get what they deserved. Tang Guo was just the beginning. After Tang Guo went down the mountain, she didn't go to the city. Instead, she found a hidden cave and began to accept the plot of this world. This was a cultivation world. The male lead was Ling Yiling, and the female lead was Feng Feiling. Feng Feiling was reborn, and came back with endless hatred and hatred. This was also a female lead who hated the heavens and hated the air, and wasn't swayed by her emotions. Feng Feiling didn't have a good ending in her previous life. Ever since she entered the sect, she loved Bai Wuqing and used countless methods to get close to Bai Wuqing. What Bai Wuqing hated the most was people playing tricks with him. Feng Feiling's behavior annoyed him to no end, so he criticized her in front of everyone, causing her to lose all face. Later on, Bai Wuqing actually became Dao companions with his personal disciple, which made Feng Feiling even more unwilling. On the other hand, the disciple of the Devil's sect leader, Ling Yiling, was also very fond of Tang Guo. Two equally outstanding men, both of whom liked Tang Guo, looked at her as if they were looking at a fly, which made her very embarrassed. Later, when they were in the arcane realm, she couldn't help but use the most vicious means in the immortal cultivation world to cripple Tang Guo. Unexpectedly, this matter was discovered by Ling Yiling. Ling Yiling pointed out her viciousness in front of everyone and personally destroyed her spirit root. She was expelled from the sect, and not long after, she was tortured to death by a group of evil people. When she woke up, she was reborn, and she was reborn to the time when she had just entered the sect. After being reborn, she naturally didn't want to continue her fate with Bai Wuqing. She only wanted to take revenge on everyone. First, she attracted the attention of the Star Moon sect leader, Wen Ziqiu, and made him accept her as a disciple, which gave her an unattainable status. Knowing that Bai Wuqing hated schemes, when Tang Guo first awakened of love, she let people unintentionally reveal various methods to get close to Bai Wuqing, which successfully made Bai Wuqing hate Tang Guo. Then, she spread some rumors about Tang Guo. Even if it was a small matter, it could be said to have ulterior motives. Chapter 508. The opportunity belonged to Tang Guo, so she naturally accepted it without hesitation. Later, when she found an opportunity, she used the same trick again, making everyone think that Tang Guo wanted to destroy her spirit root. And the person who stole the sect's treasure was naturally Tang Guo herself. However, she paid a price to control Tang Guo's consciousness for a short period of time and let her steal it. This price caused her cultivation to be unable to progress for 3 years. If Tang Guo's cultivation was a bit more powerful, she really wouldn't dare to do it. She wanted Leng Yiling to destroy Tang Guo's spirit root personally, and wanted Bai Wuqing to watch coldly from the sidelines. This was what she had encountered before, and her goal was achieved. Next, Feng Feiling would take revenge on everyone who wronged her, and Bai Wuqing finally found out the truth. But at that time, Feng Feiling had already grown to an unimaginable level. She mercilessly lured Bai Wuqing into the nest of 1,000 devils, causing Bai Wuqing to be eaten by 10,000 devils forever. Later, she successfully passed the tribulation, but did not ascend. In her words, she naturally wanted to wait for her Tao companion, Leng Yiling, to ascend together. On the day Leng Yiling passed the tribulation, 9 heavenly tribulations fell one after another. When the last heavenly tribulation fell, Feng Feiling sent a message to Leng Yiling. After hearing this, Leng Yiling's expression changed greatly, and his mind became chaotic. He, who should have passed the tribulation smoothly, died in the last heavenly tribulation. And Feng Feiling took revenge on everyone, and ascended with a smile beside Leng Yiling's charred corpse. After reading all the plot, Tang Guo couldn't help but say, the female lead with a sense of evil. As expected, she's cold, ruthless, and decisive in killing. Tang Guo exclaimed in surprise as she skipped past a few cannon fodders, Ziyun's Devil Sect Master, Mo Yuntian. These 2 people would later die in Feng Feiling's hands. The reason was that the Devil Sect Master, Mo Yuntian, found out that Feng Feiling had ulterior motives and wanted to warn his disciple Leng Yiling, but was killed by Feng Feiling in the end. As for Ziyun's Sect Master, he could refine good pills, and he almost never left his house. The only enmity she had with Feng Feiling was when her spiritual root was destroyed and she was expelled from the sect in her previous life. Coincidentally, she met Ziyun Dao Master, who was picking herbs. The Ziyun Dao Master did nothing but pass by her. After his rebirth, Feng Feiling knew that Purple Cloud's Dao Master was a powerful alchemist. He bore a grudge against the other party for not saving him at that time. When he met Purple Cloud's Dao Master in this life, he conveniently killed him. Tang Guo remained silent. Was it a coincidence, or had she really come to the world of Ziyun? However, what happened to Ziyun the Reverend was too unjust. He was just an unlucky guy in the legends. Tongzi, open the group chat. Daoist Master Purple Cloud, True Monarch Scarlet Firmament, you're both here. Ziyun Jinren replied, yes, yes, yes. Campus Bell, you haven't shown up for many years. I've been waiting for you for so long that the flowers are about to wilt. True Monarch Scarlet Heaven said, Campus Bell, please feed me. Tang Guo hurriedly sent red packets of delicacies to her friends in the group before asking, is the Devil Sect Master's name Mo Yuntian? He has a disciple called Lang Yiling, Devil Sect Master said. Campus Bell, how did you know? Tang Guo remained silent for a while before continuing to ask, Ziyun Dao Master, are you the Pill Heart Sect's old ancestor Scarlet Heaven, true monarch Scarlet Heaven? Are you the Wuhua Sect's old ancestor Scarlet Heaven, the Devil Sect Master? Does your disciple like a woman called Feng Feiling? Tang Guo's words had a great impact on everyone, causing the food to become tasteless. They hurriedly asked, how did she know? Chapter 509. Feng Feiling is the direct disciple of Star Moon sect leader, Wen Ziqiu. Star Moon sect has an elder called Bai Wuqing, and Bai Wuqing has a disciple called Tang Guo, right? Yes. The few of them quickly answered. While they were shocked, they had an idea, although it was a very bold idea. Tang Guo did not keep them in suspense and said directly, what I want to tell you is that my name is now Tang Guo. Originally, I had a master called Bai Wuqing. His spirit root was just destroyed and he was expelled from the sect. Purple Cloud Sage, Scarlet Cloud Sage, Devil Sect leader, School Beauty, oh right, I forgot to tell you. The guy who destroyed my spirit root is called Lang Yiling. Devil Sect leader, School Beauty, this can't be true. He did not believe that his disciple would be so unlucky. Not only did he destroy someone's spirit root, but he also provoked the School Beauty. Soon, Scarlet Cloud Sage reacted, School Beauty, how are you now? Where are you? I'll come and pick you up. Purple Cloud Sage also quickly said, let me come and pick you up. I know how to refine pills, maybe I can help you recover your spirit root. Devil Sect leader quickly said, let me do it. School Beauty, you can do whatever you want with that disciple in the future. Don't worry about me. The School Beauty was such a big figure with a mysterious background. He did not want to offend her by covering up for his disciple. He only wanted to leave Lang Yiling alive. Ever since he met a girl called Feng Feiling, his disciple seemed to be possessed. Originally, he was obedient, but now, he even knew how to talk back to him. The group had a function. If they were in the same plane, they could set their own location. Tang Guo sent her location over. As for who would arrive first, that was their problem. Her whole body was in pain now, so she had to heal first. The system silently wiped off its cold sweat. The great host finally remembered that she was a person who had her spirit root destroyed and was seriously injured. It expressed that there was a reason why the host was so calm. It was not the first time that her cultivation base had been destroyed, and her spirit root had been destroyed. The host was especially experienced, so there was no need for her to be afraid. In some of the worlds that Tang Guo had experienced, her spirit root had been destroyed more than once. As a result, she had comprehended a cultivation method for people whose spirit root had been destroyed, the Universal Rejuvenation Mystery Scroll. The plot of a certain world was from the cultivation world to the immortal world. Therefore, the immortal cultivation technique that she comprehended was divided into two parts, the Spirit Scroll and the Immortal Scroll. When she came to this world and opened her eyes, her spirit root had already been destroyed. She could only cultivate this Universal Rejuvenation Xian Scroll. This technique could only be cultivated by a cripple. If she had a good spirit root, it would be useless. Therefore, it was exceptionally easy for her to cultivate. In addition, the original body was a peerless genius, and she was familiar with the myriad things Rejuvenation Xian Scroll, so there was no difficulty in cultivating it. When Tang Guo opened her eyes again, it was already a day later. Her injuries had basically healed, and her strength had also recovered to the level of the original owner. Host, your cultivation technique is still as perverse as ever. The more thoroughly it is crippled, the faster it can be cultivated. It has only been a day. I remember that in a certain world, it took you 10 days to cultivate to this level. Tanguy smiled. Because this body is also a natural spirit body. Its innate conditions are not bad. And, the great host is in a good mood. The great host, someone is coming. After coming to the cultivation world, the system had been monitoring the surroundings. When it saw that someone was coming, it hurriedly reminded it. The two people leaped over from different directions. Chapter 5:10. Is this the place? Purple Cloud stared at the small cave in front of him in confusion. There was a mysterious and profound formation outside, but he didn't dare to touch it directly. Instead, he stared at the young man flying in from afar. Purple Cloud, how did you get here so quickly? Your Pill Heart sect isn't close to here. Scarlet Cloud was a little surprised. He also stopped outside the cave and looked at the mysterious formation, not daring to destroy it. The two of them quickly sank their consciousness into the cave and were about to summon Tanguy when the formation in front of the cave was suddenly removed. An exquisite and beautiful little girl appeared in their line of sight, a faint smile hanging on the corner of her mouth. She looked like she was only 16 years old, but her eyes didn't seem to belong to a 16-year-old person. They looked at each other. Scarlet Cloud was anxious when she didn't speak. He couldn't help but lean forward and call out carefully, "Campus Belle." "It's me." Tanguy took out 2 beggar's chickens and casually threw them to the two of them. "It's a gift for our first meeting." "You're welcome." The beggar's chicken was very fragrant. The two of them caught it and looked at it with greed. They wanted to take a bite, but due to the current situation, they had to put it in their storage rings first. They saw Tanguy's current realm at a glance. It was the Golden Core stage, but they were still a little surprised. How could the mysterious Campus Belle be in the Golden Core stage? Then they suddenly remembered that the Campus Belle said her spiritual root was destroyed yesterday. Wait, wasn't her spiritual root destroyed? How could she be in the Golden Core stage? Campus Belle, has your spiritual root really been destroyed? Ziyun Dao Master asked with some uncertainty. Tanguy knew their doubts. It was destroyed when I came here. After recuperating for a day, I just recovered my original strength. Recovered in a day. The two of them were speechless. They were a little shocked. She was indeed the Campus Belle, mysterious and powerful. Her spiritual root was destroyed, but she recovered to the Golden Core stage in a day. Campus Belle, what's your plan now? Scarlet Cloud looked at her eagerly. Come to my place. I'm the leader of the Wuhua sect, and the sect master is still my junior. He doesn't even dare to fart in front of me. It's rare for you to come here, so you can do whatever you want. Campus Belle, my Pill Heart sect should be more suitable for you. I'm also the most senior in the Pill Heart sect. None of the little bastards dare to disobey me, Purple Cloud hurriedly said, afraid that perfected monarch Scarlet Firmament would beat him to it. The two of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with fighting spirit. Qi Xiao, Ziyun, you two shameless fellows actually dared to abduct the school bell here. A thunderous voice came from afar, followed by a black-robed man landing beside the two of them. His originally cold face suddenly rippled with a flattering smile when he saw Tanguy, causing Purple Cloud Immortal and Qi Xiao Immortal to feel nauseous again and again. Damn it, how did this shameless demonic cultivator come so quickly? What did he mean by abducting the school bell? Wasn't he just short of a sentence? Let go of the school bell and let him do it. School beauty, I am the sect leader of the Devil's sect, Mo Yuntian. When Mo Yuntian saw Tanguy, he was also a little surprised because he had seen the original Tanguy. Her temperament was completely different from the Tanguy in front of him. He was very familiar with the name Tanguy, thanks to his bastard disciple. She was the direct disciple of Star Moon sects by Wuqing, a genius who formed her gold core before the age of 15. However, later on, another disciple who was even more outstanding than Tang Guo appeared in Starmoon's sect. This woman's name was Feng Feiling, the woman his disciple was infatuated with.